What is going on, everybody? It is episode 308 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I had a case of the Mondays yesterday. Today, I think I have a case of the Tuesdays, and then tomorrow I'll have a case of the Wednesdays,
etc. What does a case of the Tuesdays look like?
Just, you know, generally being unhinged and not giving anyone in Hollywood any slack.
That's what they love you for.
I know it. Anyway, we've got Hannah Claire today.
Hi, I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for timcast.com. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I like that shirt.
Thank you.
I like the stripes.
Stripes, yeah.
It's a nice and interesting
Bold.
pattern.
Yes, bold. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. The Golden Globes had like a weird roast session of Tom Cruise because Hollywood is full of a bunch of pandering losers who want to like besmirch the good name of the man who's proving all of their narratives wrong. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about BAFTAs So White, if you're wondering what the hell the BAFTAs are. It's the British Academy of Film and Television Awards. And they went through like an overhaul a couple of years ago in which they worked to increase diversity, all for nothing, apparently, because all 49 winners at this year's BAFTAs were not of any sort of minority extraction, which has angered a lot of the internet, as you can imagine. It always does. And also, Alison Brie, who is an actress working with her husband, Dave Franco, related to James Franco. She has said that it's not weird at all that her husband directs her sex scenes. So I'm sure that there's going to be a bunch of hot takes.
They have a great relationship.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I'm sure that we're going to get some hot takes on that. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Matty Healy calling out somebody named Yungblud, who Mary knew that I did not.
Have you really never heard of Yungblud?
Never heard of Yungblud.
He's like done a song with Avril Lavigne. He's like one of those pop punk revivalist people.
Well, the name is cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
Like the name is cultural appropriation.
For sure.
He's calling out his feminism, his male feminism, which should be called out at all times, to be fair. So we're going to talk about all that. Before we get into it, though, I do want to point out that Alec Baldwin has seemingly already gotten off a portion of what he could have gotten with his charges. He has had his charges reduced by the district attorney. Let me see if I can pull it up here. By the district attorney. So they've reduced it's just involuntary manslaughter now. So the maximum will be 18 months. They've gotten rid of the, I know,
coming?
Right? They got rid of the manslaughter and the commission of a lawful act charge, and they got rid of the firearms enhancement charge. Did anybody really expect anything less to come from Hollywood?
They have big talk about no one's above the law.
Yeah.
And then the firearms enhancement charge is immediately dropped.
The district attorney, at least a spokesperson for the district attorney, said it was to avoid further litigious distractions from Baldwin's lawyer, which, you know, to be fair, I'm sure Baldwin's lawyers, which cost lots and lots of money, are making it very, very difficult on them. But I didn't expect anything less to come from something like this from rich, famous people. Did you?
Well, we'll get into it more. No, I don't expect it. On the other hand, I think it's worth talking about the legal argument that his team made.
Well, go ahead. No, I mean, this wasn't the topic for today. I just want to give people an update on it.
The argument that Baldwin's lawyers made is that the legal enhancement for firearms wasn't a law when he committed the crime. And so therefore, should he be tried under a law that wasn't applicable at the time? Or should, you know, crimes going forward, I think the law was passed in May of 2022. So if you
in response to the Rust shooting or just in general,
it's not clear. I haven't looked into it super in depth. I think it was already in the works in their legislation or in their legislative government. So this was something they had been considering for a while. The shooting happened. Does it retroactively apply to cases past? Are they also doing this for other charges? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's worth considering that perhaps he did have a good legal argument, but no, we're not surprised that, I mean, I thought it was telling that the prosecutors were like, okay, fine, we'll drop it. Like, we just need to keep going with this case. You can't just stall us forever.
Yeah. Yep.
But darn, I wanted him to get
the 5 years. I mean,
years.
he was never going to get the 5 years.
Because he's just such an unabashed jerk. He's such a Hollywood jerk face.
Yeah. I mean, both he and the armor are still facing 18 months in prison and $5,000 fines. It seems crazy to me that the armor and Baldwin are facing the same charges. I feel like as he was the one holding the gun, perhaps he should have something else, but they're being charged the same way, which is weird. There are also no charges brought for, I think his name's Joel Souza, the director who got injured.
Well, he copped a plea, right? That guy copped a plea.
No, that's someone else. That's another person who's working with the guns. But Joel, so it was Helena Hutchins who died, and then Joel Souza who got hit by the bullet. Okay. And so they
he chose not to press charges, right?
Yeah. But theoretically, he doesn't have the option, right? Like, it's a criminal case. I haven't seen that he chose not to press charges. I just know that they didn't file any charges.
Yeah. So you know, it's as if we expected anything different to come from Hollywood. That's what it is. I also want to give a shout out to Nefarious. I did get a chance to see this movie yesterday, and I saw some people talking about it online. This is Steve Deese was on IRL last night, and we got a chance to watch it. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be allowed to talk about it, but I did see people talking about it on Twitter, so I do think it's okay. It's a recommend from me. Cool. The funny thing is you see people who do movies who come here, and you always wonder if they're going to be able to get like talent for these things. But the actors they got for this, I knew both of the main actors here, Sean Patrick Flannery and obviously, and then Jordan Belfi, are both actors that I had seen before. And as good as Jordan Belfi is in this movie, as the doctor who's sent there to evaluate the case of the inmate who's being he's about to be executed. So the theme of this movie is, if you've read Steve Deese's book, this is an inmate who's on trial who's been convicted of the crimes he's been accused of, and he's on death row, and he has one last chance to have a doctor come in and do an evaluation to make sure that he's fit for execution. They have to make sure that he's mentally competent, that he's not insane. And the scenes between Sean Patrick Flannery's character, who is the one who's being, looked at by the doctor, and then James Martin, which is played by Jordan Belfi. They're good, but the movie shines the most when Sean Patrick Flannery is on his own in this movie, meaning the scenes when he's going between the character of Nefarious and the body he's inhabited are expertly done. They just graze the edge of like a little bit over the top, but in a way that feels natural to the movie. I would recommend that everyone go and see this. It's not overly long. I think it's an hour and 39 minutes. And one of the biggest compliments that I can give it is that when they actually, I'm going to hold off on that because that actually might be a spoiler of sorts. I'm going to hold off on that. So, but it's worth it for just those two actors' performances. I do think it's worth your time. Steve Deese is obviously a very influential guy in these circles, and they got real talented people. And I thought that was interesting because a lot of times you have to wonder, like, unfortunately, we have to ask that question now. If they work on a movie like this, are they going to be branded a certain way? And Jordan Belfi is like, it's funny because I remember him. He played like a porn mogul on like 2 episodes of Castle. Like back in the day, he's a good journeyman actor. He's one of those actors where if you've watched any amount of like network television, you've seen him you've seen him guest spot and role. But Sean Patrick Flannery absolutely like elevates this movie, so I would recommend that everyone go see it.
It's getting a nationwide release, I believe.
Yes.
Too, cool.
So yeah,
it's funny that you watched it alone rather than with everybody else.
No, everybody was there. There was people downstairs.
You watched it with everybody?
Yeah, I went down. I missed the first 5 minutes, but then I went down and
I
watched
must have
it.
seen the first 5 minutes.
So no, I did go down there and watch it with everyone. So I do think it's worth it. It's very, very good. It's shot in minimal locations. It doesn't need to be. It's very good. So we got that. And also, Mary, tell us about, is this Cringe of the Day? Would you call this Cringe of the Day?
Honestly, yeah, I saw this and I immediately thought, I need your takes on it. I am a true believer in the green line theory, where whoever is leaning in the picture is the submissive one. I don't know where the baby stands in this.
I think the baby gets an out. I don't think you can be. If you're under 18, you don't.
He's not making a conscious choice on how he's posing.
If you're listening right now, this is a Vogue cover featuring Rihanna and A$AP Rocky and their baby, who I don't know the name of. And it's very clearly staged in a way that makes Rihanna look like the leader, the dominant one in their relationship, in a position that ordinarily the man would be taking. Like, she's literally taking his hand and leading him forward in a very open posture, and he's just kind of like in the back taking orders, taking care of the baby.
Well, he's got to take care of the kid.
it rubbed me the wrong way for sure.
It's just really funny because I mean, they're both at an angle. She's at an angle too. She's just leaning away from him.
Right. That's the point, though. If the woman is leaning away
Yes.
from the man, then it means she's like not really invested in the relationship.
Does the fact that they're in forward motion change this? Normally, this would be done during a stock photo in which you've posed for the picture. This is a picture in motion, so there may be a flag on the play here. The same principles may not apply because her body is in motion, and a body in motion tends to stay in motion.
I also am curious to see like the content of the article. Is it a split 50-50 A$AP Rocky and Rihanna cover, or is it Rihanna's cover that they were like, oh my gosh,
You can be in it, I guess.
Well, and like they know
Right.
they'll sell magazines because I don't know that they've done a joint interview as a couple, and like she's been very private about her kid. Like, is this a way of them being like, you know what I mean? Like, if you were the photo director for this and it's mostly about Rihanna, it makes sense to me that you put her in the foreground. Like, I don't think Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, I get the green line theory when it's like candid. If they were on the red carpet or something. For stage photos, it's harder to tell because like there are so many people being like, stand over here and jump there and you wear this outfit and give the baby to him. And also, you know, it's not a
The artistic
broad
direction,
basis.
though,
there's
telling.
art direction here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe.
But like it's not.
maybe the
If I
green-
tell you to stand next to someone you're dating in a certain way, I'm putting my own interpretation of your relationship, as opposed to like if I catch you guys.
So it's
candidly.
the art director we're judging on the green lines here, not Rihanna, and A$AP
I mean,
Rocky.
maybe they were cool with it. I just
Yeah.
mean like it's a little bit of a tainted data set, right? Like we'd have to go
Right.
through their photos. Like they had that one photo shoot when she was first saying she was pregnant, and they walked around New York, and I remember she had like pink coat and her like belly out, and it didn't. Really
I really
make sense.
didn't like how she dressed while pregnant.
It was not for me at all. But then I would want to apply the green line theory because it's a little bit more like
We tried to
supposed to be
analyze
candid.
pictures of Harry and Meghan with the green lines.
it's bad.
Really?
I've seen
Because
a
we
couple
thought
where
it was
it's rough.
weirdly like equal. Like
Yeah,
they're
because
very
No, 'cause
straight up
he's-
and down.
He has to be trained because he's royalty, right? So he's
Did
been
you see
trained
him
for
leaning
good posture.
I see him leaning in, and
I don't see
also
him leaning in.
he is much more deferential. Like she is always facing forward,
Facially.
and he is more likely to like angle
Look at
towards
her.
her.
Yeah.
I don't know how
see.
seriously
he takes cues from her
Right, and,
reactions
like-
to things.
like one of the things that they get compared to with William and Kate a lot is that William and Kate never hold hands in public, but that's a decision they made, and they've said like it's because we're on the job, like it's a professional setting, so therefore like us having tons of PDA isn't appropriate, whereas like Meghan and Harry seem to like lead each other around by the hand, like they are very much trying to present like we are a couple, pay attention to us as a couple.
It's funny. I was looking at the Prince Charles. Wait, is William the one that's married to?
Yes.
To
Yeah. To Kate Middleton.
To Kate Middleton.
Yeah.
They were there's like all these weird propaganda articles about her hitting his butt with her hand that are very
And it was like
clearly,
such a nothing.
It's supposed to. But there was like more after that where like she's like moving, like he's like moving forward, and her hand like kind of looks like it touches him, and it doesn't. And
It
like
almost looks
a
accidental.
barrage of articles were written that just prove that all of it is propaganda on some level. Like, look how happy they were. I kid you not. I saw another one yesterday that says 3 other times Kate Middleton has hit him on the butt, and I'm like.
They just immediately start searching.
I'm like,
for
I
the-
hate
weird.
these people.
Also, whose job is that to be like, gotta find her touching his butt?
Here's what Rivellino said about Rihanna's face here. He said, "Does Rihanna look happy in this photo? When a woman is forced to be in charge, she is forced to take on a dominant masculine role. She is forced to suppress her nurturing, submissive, feminine essence. She is forced to go against her nature. This is why Rihanna is not smiling." Then they showed a different picture in the replies with similar green lines, where she's facing forward, he is behind her once again.
They say that
I
like
think
she
they're
had
comparable
a,
in terms of celebrity, though.
they
It's
sa-
just so hard for me to tell when it's something I know is staged by an art director.
They said that like the art director didn't tell her not to smile.
Like I would have been interested, like if you took
she
their,
can't smile in that photo. It doesn't make any sense if she smiles.
or she smiled in one, but then they picked the one where she's not smiling and put it on the
Ooh,
cover.
Scroll down to the picture of Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. It's really bad. It's below that one. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Telling.
I mean, like
So
if
she's
we-
like not smiling, not leaning in. Her legs are open. While
That's
Will
the
Smith's
worst
legs
part.
are crossed.
So
and
she's
he's leaning into her and she's
she's-
smiling.
woman spreading there.
See, that's like the kind of dynamic that's going to lead a man to slap Chris Rock in a fit of
Well,
rage.
they get testy when they get emasculated that much.
That's
I suppose.
true. You know, who could blame him?
Yeah. So, look, I think you're right. I think the fact that it's not a red carpet photo where they're asked to just pose probably makes this
I would
want to
see like the red carpet or their Instagram photos. Like I want to see something that they put up or like when they're naturally flowing.
Yeah.
It's harder to tell here. But people did have a really strong reaction to this cover, which was like kind of funny because it was like everyone from every angle had a criticism of it. Like, why can't Rihanna have her own cover? Why does she have to bring her man and baby to it? Like, oh wow, like she is showing off that she has a family even though she's a career woman. Like, no one liked this cover, which I really don't think it's that bad.
Everyone's
like
just battling it out.
It's fine. It's just a cover of a magazine.
My critique would be more for whatever those awful pants he's wearing are.
I didn't like his outfit here.
They're
He's just like shirtless with a vest on.
Leather, like he looks like one of the Hardy Boy professional wrestlers from the 90s.
I miss when they wore those like comforters to the Met Gala. They both wore like down comforters. And, like,
Billie Eilish and her boyfriend.
No, Rihanna, whatever
they
both
did that too.
Yeah, his was like all
so
black.
Billie
and hers
Eilish was copying
for sure.
Okay.
I mean, style icon Rihanna, and again, I can't remember his name.
A$AP Rocky.
A$AP Rocky.
I looked comfy.
Yeah, I mean.
Which I always screw up because there's a
couple.
rapper named A$AP Rock, so I always want to say A$AP Rocky, but that's not. It's ASAP.
Is it like Aesop's Fables or whatever?
He was one of the lame wannabe intellectual rappers from the underground scene in the late 90s, 2000s. Horrible. Oh, Harry Potter updates at all?
Oh,
you were like halfway through one of them, right?
I am still halfway through. I'm just gonna watch on the weekends.
Yep.
But
I have to at least ask. Update?
No, sorry.
That's okay.
No update.
All right,
but I'm working on it. I think I'm just gonna binge through them. I have a bookshelf I want to paint. I'll put on Fast and Furious.
You need an
I'll learn so
activity
much.
to pair with it.
I actually do because otherwise I like, I can turn this off and do something else because I'm not invested in it.
Yep.
I usually embroider, but like,
yeah.
ugh.
I've actually like taken that up. I'm gonna like embroider during the next Harry Potter film.
I like doing that generally when watching TV because otherwise I find myself like picking my phone or like I want to get up and do something and like having a handicraft, like I'm a Victorian lady. It's nice.
All right, guys, before we get started, could you please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. If you would like to contribute to the crisis meter down there and scare the crap out of Hannah Claire with the brand new crisis party sound effect that I have put together for this week.
Why do I feel like it's just like dolphins screaming? That's actually what I asked for, I think.
It's pretty close. It's not really close, but it's fantastic. So you can see the bar down there. That is where your super chats go to. If you have a question or a comment, if you want to tell me I'm wrong about something or tell Mary she's right or wrong about something, they can do that.
Or tell Brett he's right about something.
Well, I know I'm right. I don't need them to tell me.
I think it's funny that you are asking them to tell you you're wrong. You want to be challenged.
They tend to think I'm wrong.
You're feeling pugnacious today.
Yeah, well, So, all right, I think we should just get right into it. So, Tom Cruise is way too awesome for the rest of Hollywood because Hollywood is full of losers, and thus they had to take out their vitriol on him at the Golden Globe Awards by having a weird type of roast sesh that just reeked of insecurity.
Well, this is even
to
worse
me.
than the Golden Globes. This is the Directors Guild of America Awards, so it's even more niche and elitist.
But the Golden Globe one was from the Golden
Yeah.
Globes, right? But the funny part about that is I actually agree with them. Tom Cruise giving back his awards on the basis of diversity is like the
Totally
cringiest thing
weird, yeah.
is like the cringiest thing he's ever done. I also was like,
I don't know, man. What is he supposed to do?
He's
not supposed to take awards from people who apparently deserve them more from him.
Well, he already won them. Like
It was like past years.
be cooler if he gave back like an
Awards.
IOU. Well, yeah, he gave back like awards he'd already won.
You will just never top Kanye peeing on his Grammys. Like that's peak award show mentality. Like, don't let the prestige of a stupid award show control your ego.
Can you imagine if like someone won an award and he stands up and he's like, but I realized that I'm a part of the problem with my race and whatever else, so I'm gonna give it to the next guy. And the next guy's like, well, I don't need a handout from you.
They want handouts
oppressive
now.
person.
Hollywood loves handouts now.
We're gonna get to that next.
Or they pick another person.
But,
It's like another man. He's like, no, it should go to a woman. And then like on stage, we're watching them debate over who should win this award.
The whole monologue introducing the Golden Globes by Jared Carmichael, first I had heard of him, by the way, was like just racial grievance peddling. And it was so unfunny and uncomfortable and awkward that I think the people in the audience were only laughing because they were drunk. Other than that, I would be stone cold. Or they had like cue cards
They're
being like clap now, laugh now.
It is funny. I think it is so funny.
It's so funny. I'm such a bad white person. Yeah, and he made fun of Tom Cruise because you're obligated to do so. He joked about Tom Cruise exchanging his Golden Globes that he gave back,
which I'm okay
for
with.
the return of the wife of the president or leader of Scientology,
which is
Shelley
funny
Miscavige.
because in the article they say
Isn't
not
she missing?
so from what I did.
But then Scientology denied it for years.
Apparently, like Leah Remini filed a missing persons report, and the police found her, and she just said like, "I'm not missing, but I'm a private person." But I love the idea that it doesn't matter because there's probably Scientologists in the police force that could just make this
Leah
up
Remini,
anyways.
who was like, I filed a police report. They went to like a residence that apparently Shelley lives at. But then they were like, "Are you Shelley Misgraves or whatever her name is?" And she's like, "Yup, I'm good. I'm just private." But they didn't like check her any information to confirm that it was her. Like anyone could have been like, "Yes, it's me. It's me, Shelley. I'm good to go."
Here's what the LEPD
hasn't
said.
been seen publicly by even.
It was in 2014 that they did this check.
No, didn't they say they went to her house?
They went to her location.
I could be in her house and say I'm her. Like,
right,
these police officers don't know who she is.
They went to her location, personally made contact with her and her attorney, Sus.
That part's
who's her
sus.
attorney?
Who's just hanging
and
out.
is he a Scientologist?
He's just staying over. He
Right.
happens to be over for lunch when this happens.
Detectives found her to be alive and safe, and closed the investigation. Good job, police.
There's pictures of her, so it's not like they wouldn't be able to
none
check.
of the recent ones, right? And like, what if she's lost a bunch of weight? What if she's gained a bunch of weight? Women dye their hair all the time. Like, I mean, maybe it's
What
her.
if they transferred the consciousness of another person into another person's body? And
They
just-
never said they like saw identification or spoke to her privately.
It doesn't make any sense. Also, like, if
She literally had a handler.
She's the wife of this very important person for this religion, and she doesn't appear publicly at any religious, like any of the openings of their centers or anything else. Like, doesn't that seem weird? The only other person I know who operates this way is Kim Jong-un and his wife, who we never see except for very rarely.
The thing is, I don't know why Tom Cruise is expected to answer for everything.
He's not. These people are just mad that that he's too powerful. He has too much money. He has too much clout, and he has too many connections, and he too easily disproves all of their narratives that they run with constantly. And even if he's doing it purely for financial purposes, I don't really care.
I totally agree with you, but I will say, Scientologists, from my very extensive research, aka watching Leah Remini's thing, like, they do encourage the people involved to be advocates for it, to sort of evangelize it wherever they go. So, he doesn't have to answer for it. On the other hand, I would believe that he is actively advocating for Scientology openly. And if you're going to, wear it as a key part of your identity, it's not unreasonable that people would ask
He
you
kind of
questions.
stopped talking about it.
But this is
for a
not
long
why.
time.
This is not why Judd Apatow and these people.
No,
are
yeah,
criticizing.
exactly.
They don't give a crap about
has nothing to do
They
with
give a crap about the fact
controversies of his
that he
religion.
proves everything that they believe is accurate to be wrong.
Yeah.
They care that that even if he only on the surface cares about what the audience thinks, or doesn't want to tell you what you need but give you what he thinks you want, right? Like, he wants to give you Tom Cruise wants to give you what you want to watch. They want to give you what they want you to watch.
Yeah.
And he easily disproves their narrative, therefore he has to be held to account by them, which is embarrassing
and
and
it seems
pathetic.
like jealousy,
It is. It's absolutely jealousy.
Definitely. Is it Judd Apatow or Apatow?
I say Apatow.
I've always heard Apatow.
Apatow.
Yeah.
Okay, he like made fun of at the Directors Guild. He made fun of Tom Cruise being short, which is an easy low blow, but it's whatever.
But could be taken like if they didn't go further than that, it could be taken as good natured.
Yeah, like razzing.
But it's when you keep going.
Well, then he brought up Tom Cruise jumping on Oprah's couch,
which Tom Cruise has said that got blown way out of proportion. Like they edited it to make it way worse than it was. Which like, does anybody here for a second think that they wouldn't do that in Hollywood?
I'm sure they edited it deceptively, but at the same time, that's a lot of material to.
I mean, he jumped
edit,
on the couch, but the Oprah show is notorious for editing things in ways that misrepresent things.
They love to lie by structure.
He did seem unhinged.
Sure. I mean, I think he probably is unhinged on some level.
Probably maybe on drugs.
Well, my thing
he's
is,
very actively anti-pharmaceutical. So I mean, if he is,
that's part of being a
lying.
Scientologist.
Sure, but maybe they're not pharmaceuticals.
My thing
Based.
is, where is Surrey? Surrey is in New York. Tom Cruise apparently has
see-
very little
yeah.
contact, if any, with her.
33
Like,
grand a
the
month in
things-
child support.
The things that I would want to criticize him for, we somehow let go by. And I guess we're not, you have to talk about a kid and you have to talk about stuff, you infringe on her privacy to talk about it. But like, I don't care that he's short and I don't care that he jumped on Oprah's couch. Like, I am interested in the fact that this guy,
What is he doing today?
isn't representing a strong picture of fatherhood, right? And like even the children he had adopted with the redhead, Nicole Kidman.
He's got
thank
2
you.
kids with her, Nicole Kidman.
They're both adopted, and
Connor
they
and
completely sided with him in everything, and they're very close to him. They're not as close to her. She's remarried. She has other children now too. But it's just interesting that like there is very unusual family dynamics at play. But the best shot that they had was like your religion, which I still think is sketchy, and the fact that you're short.
I thought you were supposed to allow people to I guess because they would probably classify it as a cult and not a religion.
Well, the interesting thing about his
historical.
divorce with Katie Holmes is that it's supposedly that she didn't want to raise their daughter in
Scientology.
Scientology, and Tom Cruise didn't feel like she needed to be protected from Scientology, and that's
And
just
the
something you really
Scientologists-
can't compromise on.
And apparently it was Scientologists who set them up. Like they were set up by people involved in the Scientologist church. I just think it's like I think Scientology is not transparent enough. If it had nothing going on, it should be more open, and all religions that, if you write a book called How You Make Money Off Your Religion, I'm going to be skeptical, and that's the basis of Scientology.
True. Another interesting thing about their divorce is that she wasn't allowed to publicly date for 5 years afterwards.
She had
It
a
was
non-compete
longer.
clause.
I thought it was 10.
Yeah, exactly. I think I looked into it today. It seems like it was 5.
People freaked out.
And then she was with Jamie Foxx on the
because-
beach.
like exactly to the day when this like supposed clause went away, which it's hard to be like, is that a coincidence in the making for 10 years, or 5 years or whatever? No, I just feel like he is clouded in all kinds of weird things, but I still think that like the content he produced is good, right? Top Gun Maverick was a success, and there's no denying it, even if I want to question him about why he's abandoning service.
They hate him for the same reason they hate Mel Gibson, because they can't control him, because he's
But he
burrowed
is a
himself.
controlled quantity, I think. I think he is
They
controlled by
even
Scientology.
have more dirt on Mel Gibson
Yeah.
than they have on Tom Cruise.
He's working with Christopher McQuarrie, so he's not like wide ranging his director team. Like he's working with the same people, so he's got competent people that he trusts that he can work with, and that's a very dangerous thing in an industry that gets its way by shunning you and keeping you from working with adequate talent or getting you resources
You know
to
who
get things
shuns
funded.
people? Scientologists.
And women.
So true.
And women.
I'm just saying. I feel like maybe Tom Cruise is insulated because he has picked, or he is a part of this larger organization that has serious ties to Hollywood. I'm not going to become a conspiracy theorist. I just think we should all question Scientology.
Here was the most personal and biting remark, I think, from Judd Apatow's monologue. He said, "The only thing Tom Cruise seems to be afraid of is co-parenting and antidepressants. I doubled my Prozac today just for this. Doubled it. Do you think if Tom Cruise took antidepressants, he'd be like, I'm not jumping out of an effing cliff. Why do I even work? I'm rich."
I don't think you understand how Prozac works.
If you took an antidepressant, then you wouldn't want to do what you love anymore. Seems like the antidepressant is depressing you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the lame people today. Those are the same people that probably brag about going to therapy 3
And then I
times a week.
saw that clip of Tom Cruise talking about antidepressants begin circulating again, where who is he talking to on that?
We have that up here.
I think I want to play it here actually, just because I had forgotten about this clip and what he said in it. But it's actually pretty base.
The whole thing?
Like,
or is there a certain part?
well, yeah, like we can like play part of
Be
it,
an
I guess.
example of someone who benefited from one of those drugs.
All it does is mask the problem, Matt. And if you understand the history of it, it masks the problem. That's what it does. That's all it does. You're not getting to the reason why. There is no such thing as
It'd be
a
funny if
chemical
his chair was a little bit taller than that guy's.
Depression
It
to
is.
you
They're
is
not
kind
hitting
of
these wide
a
angles.
little psychological gobbledygook.
No, I did not say that.
I'm just asking, what would you call it?
Matt, that is the post. Now you're talking about 2 different things.
But that's what she went on
You're
the
glib.
antidepressant
You're
for.
glib.
But what happens, the antidepressant, all it does is mask the problem. There's ways of vitamins and through exercise and various things. I'm not saying that isn't real. That's not what I'm saying. That's an alteration of what I'm saying. I'm saying that drugs aren't the answer, that these drugs are very dangerous. They're mind-altering, antipsychotic drugs. And there are ways of doing it without that so that we don't end up in a brave new world. The thing that I'm saying about Brooke is that,
that was a fantastic
there's misinformation.
Reference.
Okay, and she doesn't understand the history of psychiatry. She doesn't understand in the same way that you don't understand it, man.
But a little bit what you're saying, Tom, is you say you want people to do well, but you want them to do well by taking the road that you approve of, as opposed to a road that may work for them.
No, I'm not.
Well, if antidepressants work for Brooke Shields, why isn't that okay?
I disagree with it. And I think that there's a higher and better quality of life. And I think that promoting, for me personally, see, you're saying, what, I can't discuss what I want to discuss?
No, you absolutely
I know,
can.
But Matt, you're going in and saying that I can't discuss that.
I'm only asking, isn't there
You know what
a
I think
possibility
Tom Cruise should
do you
do?
examine
He
the
should start a show
possibility that
called
these things
Tomcast
do work for some
IRL.
people? That yes, there
where
are
he can like
abuses.
talk about
and yes,
all of
maybe
his
they've gone too
controversial
far
ideas.
in certain areas. Maybe there are too many kids on Ritalin. Maybe
There is an overprescription problem in America. Like, I think the things that he was talking about at this time are coming into fruition now.
Yeah, more now than that back then.
I think a lot of people don't understand the consequences of a lot of stuff that we prescribe. Birth control is an example of this. Antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications. It's not that they can't help people ever, but lifelong dependency on them is something we should be wary of. And I think he's right to say, like, if you take an antidepressant and feel better, have you really addressed the issues?
I think we're
at
crunchier
play?
now, like on the surface level, than we were back when he said that.
Right.
So he would get less pushback for saying it today.
I think that this clip, again, I
I
know
don't
every
think
time
that.
we talk about,
I think they worship at the altar of the medical industrial complex now. I think they would immediately push back on it. I think depending on where he went to have that discussion, maybe.
yeah, I think one
he
of
had
the
it with
issues,
Joe Rogan versus
Yeah.
I think one of the issues is that Scientology, and I hate to harp on it so much, but Scientology, if they're right on this stance, they're wrong on a lot of other things. Like, if you're schizophrenic, Scientologists don't think you should take medication. I don't think that that's necessarily safe or healthy. If you're a Scientologist, from what I have understood about it and what I have read about it from different journalists, like, you're not supposed to make noise while you give birth. That seems very challenging. Like, I don't think Scientology is 110% correct on all of their medical advice, but I agree with this one specific statement that he was making sort of like a profit, right? I have known a lot of people to come off of different prescription medications and to see serious positive change in their life. It's not that you can't be helped by these things, but just saying, oh, take these pills forever and you'll be okay is really laziness on the part of our medical industry, because they benefit, because they profit off of it.
It's also like, if you choose something and it works for you, then it's good.
Right.
Which means you think that every individual is the best absolute judge of what is best for them.
Which,
like, what works for them.
Well, and if you take like, if you're seriously depressed and you take antidepressants and you start to feel better and you're able to work with a therapist or a priest or a counselor and really work at whatever is causing you suffering, that's good. And hopefully you can come off the medication a stronger person. Like, I don't think medical intervention is necessarily bad, but I think saying that, like, the only way out is through pharmaceutical intervention is close-minded.
As someone who was at one point very addicted to drugs, and then the answer by most of the medical community was to give me other drugs to then combat the symptoms. For context, when you come off of opiates, you can go through debilitating withdrawal that nearly kills you, which I did. The problem was, at that time, I was living in a situation that put me in close proximity to opiates all the time. So that was not a situation I could get out of because of my home life. And so what they did is they wanted to put me on long-term Suboxone use. And long-term Suboxone use will prevent you from going through further withdrawal for as long as you take it. The problem is you become a prisoner to that medication, meaning that you can't travel unless it's a lot of the same problems you have if you're just addicted to drugs, but just through prescription means. And the difference is it's harder but not impossible to abuse. Therefore, it holds you for a long period of time. And in a lot of ways, I was a prisoner to that. Now, that does not mean that I'm telling anyone that they shouldn't be allowed to do whatever. I am, even going through what I've gone through, have no right to tell anyone else what is right for them medically. I don't know their situation, nor do I really care if people want to. Like, that's not my business.
What people really took issue with in Tom Cruise's statements here is that he seemed to think he knew what would work for Brooke Shields.
Yeah, and
that's what really offended them. But honestly, people talk about what's best for other people
All the time.
all the freaking time, and they selectively get offended about it, depending on their worldview. And I'm remembering now, there was this like Columbia University professor that put out a book and like a whole press tour about how he is a functional, like a high functioning intravenous heroin user.
Yeah, there's a ton of those.
And he like made a book literally like saying that more people should try it, and
He
you
was
know,
on
more
Rogan,
people
right?
should try.
That guy went on Rogan.
That guy
Meth
was
and,
Rogan,
like-
or did he
but
go on like?
You
go
can
on,
look
like, the
these up on YouTube. There's
Weinsteins,
I can't remember the name of the channel, but there's a YouTube channel that will talk about this, and they've done several
Yeah.
interviews with like, I'm a high functioning heroin addict. The life doesn't seem great to me.
But it's like,
but
you're
they
a
are paying the
high functioning
bills.
heroin addict because you're a tenured professor with tons of money and social capital and a cushion to always fall back on, and you're not recognizing that the rest of the opioid crisis is affecting people who are in a much worse socioeconomic position than you and are like dying deaths of despair and are using opioids to alleviate feelings of despair,
Right, and
that you are not subject
I
to
could-
because you have a purpose in life.
Right. And I could be wrong, but with that specific professor, I think he was single, right? He didn't have a family or anything.
Sounded like it,
I don't remember for
Well, he would
sure.
go to like Burning Man and stuff, and like
yeah, super cool. You're
because
artsy,
he's
you're
a
a professor.
neuroscientist, he would like be a consultant for people on bad drug trips.
I mean,
was bizarre.
Cool life that you have built for yourself, and if you're safe, that's great. But saying that more people should try it negates the fact that other people have more responsibilities than you do, right?
and also
Like,
claiming that opioids don't have a like pharmacological addictive property.
Wait, did he actually say that?
Yes. He
He's-
said it's literally like no different than anything else.
That's,
I mean, a lot of things are addictive, but
But that's a wild
so
claim.
are prescription opioids. Like that is part of the problem. That's how we got here.
He says like, oh, you're whether you get addicted is completely circumstantial.
that's
But that's not
abhorrent.
Like
True at
that's just
all.
simply not the case.
I feel like that's someone
that's
trying to say
disgusting.
like my
Yeah.
lifestyle.
As
is
somebody who's been through that, that's
It's a very
that's disgusting.
misleading
And
message.
Look,
but that just came to mind. I don't know why.
when I tell people that I'm not here to stop anyone from doing that, that's because I'm affording them the agency of them being adults. They have the right to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Like it is very hard to explain to people the hell that going through the pain of withdrawal is. And like if somebody wants to stay on a medication for the rest of their life, to avoid that hell, that for however
Yeah.
long it takes, some people it's longer than others. I understand that. I don't know if I would want that. Eventually, I had to make the decision to go through the worst of it, and it actually was worse coming off the Suboxone than coming off the opiates because it lingers in your system for longer.
Yeah.
So if you want to, there's nothing romantic about being awake for almost a month straight, for throwing up every 20 minutes for 2.5 weeks, and for every minute of the day feeling like an hour with the inability to move while constantly feeling as if you're hyperactive and need to move around.
Yeah, that guy
It's-
totally downplayed the anguish of
Yep.
that experience.
But also, has he
on
ever come
purpose.
off heroin? That's the thing. Like
He said
he's-
like, oh, there was this time I couldn't score any heroin, which I'm sure with his socioeconomic position, is able to get very high class pure drugs. But he called it an unpleasant experience, and it's like, well, can you live without it?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think what like the criticism of Tom Cruise being like, should he have publicly commented on what Brooke Shields is doing? Maybe not, right? Maybe if they were good friends, he could have said, "Hey, Brooke, like, love you. Maybe you should consider something else." But the other thing is, she talked about it publicly, so then
It becomes a public
anyone
sentiment.
could talk about
Yeah.
it publicly,
and they probably were asking him about it, which is why he spoke
right.
on
And
it.
so should he lie and be like, she can do?
Yeah.
He isn't saying she can't do it. He's just saying he would not recommend it. He would not advocate for it. And I don't think that's crazy.
And the point at the
it's
end of
the
the day is
matter of
they're
the-
bringing up these things he said in the past or done in the past because they resent that he did something successful and they're not capable of it. Like
It's
they
really-
can't measure up.
It's really more of like where that the arena in which that discussion happened than about the discussion itself, right? Like if he had had that discussion with her, that's a completely different thing. But when everybody makes it public record, they've made it public record. That's what it is now. So everyone has a right to at least give their 2 cents. Everyone has a right to give their 2 cents on what we're talking about here. We can't condemn them for having their own opinion about it.
No,
So-
it seems crazy. I just think that like Tom Cruise was in early 2000s, maybe 90s, like an easy target for things that he was saying and doing, but his career has not suffered because of the bizarre choices that he's made, even stuff that I don't agree with, right? And I think that is not something they like.
Well, if anything, his risky behavior has gotten him ahead in Hollywood, and that's what they resent him for being exceptional. For being maybe, sure, kind of a bizarre person with a weird personal life, but he made a movie that, no question about it, made a huge impact on the state of Hollywood right now, a positive one, and they aren't capable of doing the same.
I don't disagree, but I also think it's like, for this monologue, for this thing, for this award show that I don't care about, that probably doesn't get them any reviews, it's an easy, they're like, we can't make too edgy of a joke, so we'll joke about Tom Cruise, because there's no one cares when you joke about Tom Cruise. No one comes to his defense.
Yeah. True.
Well, I mean,
it's them playing it safe.
Insert any
also,
straight white male that doesn't bow to the altar of diversity, equity, and inclusion all the time.
They could have done Alec Baldwin, but
then you're
That would've
commenting
been
on gun rights
cowardly.
stuff. It's too spicy.
they're cowardly.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been way funnier.
if they would have been like, if they were like, did anybody check the prop guns?
Yeah.
Or his wife, because who says she is from Spain and she's actually definitely completely from Boston and faking all of it.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
X said, Happy National Cook a Sweet Potato Day. Is it really?
I didn't know that was a
Who
thing.
decides
Maybe.
these things?
I don't know. The Sweet Potato
Industry?
Committee?
They lobby Congress
Big
for their
sweet
own day.
potato. Marcos said, what are you giving up for Lent if you observe it? I am eating only meat and fish during Lent.
That's fun.
It's not going to be fun, for me at least. I'm not, like, I wouldn't do that by choice. Yeah.
I'm doing like
It's not going to be easy.
I'm doing like a Lent long Bible study.
Really?
Not too- yeah.
Oh,
I've done it for the past couple of years. Like I'll do a different like Bible.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it's the best way to sort of hold yourself accountable.
That's
And
really awesome.
If you try, I've tried to do the Bible in a year thing, and inevitably there's a day where I'm
The
like,
Mike Schmitz thing.
there's a couple different ones, but then inevitably you hit a Saturday where like I missed 6 days this week. I have to read several. It doesn't work.
I
for me.
know that I would get too busy and distracted
That's
to
what
do
happened.
Bible in a year. If anything, I should just do Bible in like 2 years.
Bible in
with
like-
that video series.
Bible in like 52 weeks, but then some weeks I do like 3 weeks at once. You know what I mean? But, yeah.
I'm doing literally none of that.
That's okay.
We don't really do Lent, right?
I don't.
But if you want to, we're welcome to tell you when it is.
Makes sense. I maybe someday. Maybe I'll come around.
Paper 2X said, I'm giving up on Marcos. That's rude. Wow.
I wonder how Marcos feels about that.
Who is Marcos?
The
Marcos
guy
is in the
who
chat.
asked about
He's-
Lent.
yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a weird direct attack.
G. Santoyo said, I am giving up Lint.
Ah.
Okay.
Lint, L-I-N-T, or
Yeah.
L-I-N-D-T, the chocolate? Or Lent, L-E-N-T?
Like
L-I-N-T,
dryer lint.
like dryer lint.
That's
or
funny. It'd be funny if he said, like, Lint chocolate.
Yeah.
He's an addicted.
Devoured Eagle said, hey, Brett, you'll love the new hit by the Remix Bros. Slim Jim Remix. It's got it all: hip hop, Macho Man, beef, spice, 90s nostalgia, and oh yes.
Oh man, if anything
He's
with
excited.
Macho Man Randy Savage, I'm in for. You know, that's anything with like, hey, we were just talking about drugs, and if you ever want to watch a snapshot into another time in the world, go watch old '80s wrestling promos and just feel the drugs that all of them are on. It's the best part. Like you like they're it's like you can literally feel the cocaine about to explode out of their veins.
It's grainy on the TV from what cocaine does.
The cocaine and steroids are literally like about to explode from their veins as they shout at the camera. and
Commercials
it's-
in the 2000s were
a
just
vibe.
like very like yelling, like high energy Billy Mays.
I love it.
Have you ever been to a WWE, like
Yes.
a live event?
Yeah.
Would you go again? I kind of want to go to one. I had a really fun time watching it over the summer.
I went to a house show back in the day, so I would want to maybe go to a pay-per-view. I know they did SummerSlam or Royal Rumble in Minnesota at one point. I didn't get a chance to go.
At the
But
Mall
it's-
of America?
No, at the Target Center back in the day. That'd be cool. At the Mall of America
It would be amazing.
at the and they like dive off the
They
second
dive off the
level.
balcony.
Like get the Hardy Boys to dive off the second
Snoopy
level.
runs through.
You're selling me on this right now. I'm
WWE, call me. I have an idea for you.
like, hey, one of their biggest problems is they keep like hiring Hollywood producers and not like wrestling fanatics, but maybe they need to go a whole other way and just hire like writers,
Yeah.
like writers from timcast.com.
I'm interested.
Like,
it's like writing a screenplay, but also like writing a reality TV show.
It's one of the hardest businesses to write for
Yes.
because storylines change constantly. You always have to worry about injuries. And you know how like we were talking about yesterday about how The Walking Dead could like measure its audience response to characters and write accordingly. Like the wrestling fans are so fickle that they love you 1 minute and then like so as long as you're not getting any push, they love you. But then the second the company puts any effort behind you, they immediately turn on you because they feel like you're being shoved down their throat.
Sell out.
Yeah. So basically, like, the hardest thing to do is to actually write a good guy wrestling character now, because the moment you do, they turn on them, which is why they tried to make Roman Reigns a thing for like, he's The Rock's cousin and he came up in their program and they tried to make him a thing as like a good guy for like 5 to 7 years, and it just wouldn't work because you could tell that it's just not him.
Yeah.
He's a cocky, he's too good looking, too tall, too dark, too handsome.
He looks like a.
He doesn't look like a good guy. He
Yeah, he
looks
looks like
like
a
a
villain.
badass bad guy. And so it wasn't until the pandemic happened and they didn't have live audiences that they could finally just risk it. And they made him the bad guy. And now he's like the most over dude in the company.
Yeah, because some people want to root for the bad guy.
Yeah,
right?
that's a big
There's
thing there.
is
They
it
call-
Ronda Rousey? She's kind of the one WWE thing I watched with her. She was like she was in her villain era,
Yeah,
as they say.
she's
and it
a-
was not super convincing. Like she has an all-American girl next door look, and like you kind of want her to be like Wonder Woman-esque, where she's like,
She's
here to
too
save the
bad
day.
at talking to do the WWE thing full time. She's
Oh,
not a good
interesting.
promo, but she is like her one good segment she ever did was where like they had her like break Stephanie McMahon's arm. Like in a show, which you buy because she was a UFC fighter and stuff
Yeah,
like that. But
she's a real fighter.
She's not a good talker.
X said his line is the neck, hers is the body. What is this?
I'm assuming you're talking about
You're-
us
I
I
talking
think that
about.
they gave it a fair diagram. Yeah, I mean,
What do they mean by his line is the neck?
They're talking about the
like they're
Rihanna-
basing the diagonal line off of his neck?
Well, let's look at it one more time since we're here.
like the
let's-
posture of his neck.
Are we going to
influences-
deliberate this
We're-
more? I mean, he is slouching. He's slouching, but his legs are going forward like he's like, you lead the way, mommy.
The more I look at it, the more I love that they included the baby at all.
Like, why is the baby even there? The baby's just happy to be here.
the baby?
Also, like, have you ever tried to pose an infant? I'm sure they do not care about the green line.
like
Yeah.
they like in
It's
the
like the only one the baby looks presentable in.
No,
so they had to
or
pick
is
it.
the
I bet they photoshopped the baby and he's
Probably.
crying in a different picture. And they're like,
Probably.
everyone
actually,
else
to be
looks
honest,
good.
the light around the baby's face looks a little off.
It looks a little too angelic.
But no, here's the thing. Like maybe like they kept trying to get the baby to look fussy, but he's just too happy because they want him to look like a bossed baby.
They want everyone in
like
the
his
photo to
mom.
be
baby.
Yeah, like
Speaking of Alec Baldwin.
and they just couldn't do it, so they had to settle for happy angelic baby who loves to see his mom go to work and not be home to take care of him every day. It's just wrong.
Jacob Edler said, Harry Potter movie update, chop chop Mary. I am doing my best.
Hey, don't pressure her. It's a lot to watch an entire series.
It's at least one each weekend, but I'm not going to go like multiple in a week. I have fallen asleep in the middle of every single one.
I'm telling you, you say you're going to do every weekend, and I hope you do. That proved very difficult for me.
Let's do one
Gotta get
more,
through it.
and then we'll move on.
Caper2X says, chat says Hannah Claire is a long lost Weasley cousin. Big Mind Marvel.
I used to, in my high school yearbook, there's a picture, they like celebrity lookalikes, and mine was next to Ginny Weasley, because when I was like auditioning
Well, now
for a
that I've
play or
seen
something-
her, I do see it.
Yeah, I've been getting it since I was at least a sophomore in high school, so maybe so. I should get DNA tested.
All right, guys, we're moving on. So the BAFTA Awards, it's not the BAFTA Awards, it's the BAFTAs, the British Academy of Film and Television Award Show. It went on, was it last weekend, right? And it was very white. They were not very happy with the fact that it was both white and extremely cringy in regards to the intro segment. And both of these are hilarious. We'll play the clip if we can of the horrible intro where this girl just, I feel so bad for her.
I feel like you guys need to see it to understand how horrific it was.
It really
for the
is.
people watching it face to face.
You know what? Let's
it was really bad. It was secondhand embarrassment to the max.
let's just play it, right?
All
So
right.
let's okay. I am gonna give you a cringe warning.
Major cringe warning.
Very much so. So just be careful.
Just everyone's reaction.
Let's turn the volume up for maximum cringe.
Ladies in the room, supporting and leading, all here I presume. Hong Chow, Dolly D, Carrie and Carrie with the C. Dame Emma, I'm so fond. Anna girl, you were great and blonde. Danielle D, you broke my heart. Michelle, I've loved you from the start. Angela Bassett did the thing. Viola Davis, my woman king. Kate, you're a genius. And Jamie Lee, you are all of us.
So she did a feminist rap in which she talked about
Not
all of
well.
the female rap or the female award nominees for various categories. Now, here's what I want to say. I have a lot of respect.
Viola Davis, my woman king.
Look, there is a certain amount of like gall that one has to have to be in Hollywood to know that you're about to perform
She's
something
not
that
even
cringy,
questioning it.
and there isn't an ounce of regret. There isn't an ounce
You
of
can't
doubt
see any
in her
hesitation.
face.
That's because
She
everyone-
just goes for it.
That's because
dude.
everyone around her was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so great.
This is gonna be
is
No, they
amazing.
weren't.
level."
In that
Who
video-
choreographed this? Who
Yeah,
wrote
everyone
this?
who
like,
greenlit this was like, "Girl, it's amazing. You should definitely do this. It'll be a #1 selling album. You're gonna break the internet with your feminist rap." And it's bad. She sounds super like out of breath. The dancing is weird. Like all of it is not good.
but it's just no hesitation whatsoever.
She deleted her Twitter because of the backlash.
I almost feel bad for her.
I do feel bad
I
for her.
really
Like,
do,
like
'cause
imagine you sign up for this, right? And then they give you this
she's
idea.
like contractually obligated
here's
to
the
do
other thing.
this.
We've kind of adjusted this this topic around a little bit. This one's a little bit more fun. So the producer claimed that Ariana DeBose's performance brought the energy the award show has been looking for. Well, he's the producer. He's got it
Is that
covered.
the energy they were looking for?
Like
a very
everyone
uncomfortable,
Wheezing and
awkward energy.
Also, did you see they panned to like these women's faces and they were like, "Oh,
Well,
cool."
the thing is, they pan to them a whole like second before she says their name, and they barely have any time to react. So it looks like they're just stone cold and like,
Yeah.
what? Like Anna de Armas got her shout out a whole second and a half after they panned to her face.
This is why people
they can
hate.
get their reaction, I
Like-
guess, but like the reactions are awkward.
Yeah.
And people are like, why would you hate feminism in Hollywood? Like, why would
If
you
this
hate
is feminism,
it's pandering feminism. It absolutely is. Like there is no guy's version of this where Chris Pratt gets on stage or like who would be a guy where Billy Porter gets on stage or somebody and talks about and extols the
Maybe
virtues.
Billy Porter.
But they would never do that. Where they extol the
extolling
virtues
of the
male.
gay community, not
It's pandering
men.
for sure, but in some ways I think it's institutional or corporate feminism, right? They're like, you know what'll sell this? You know what will help the energy of our award show if we inject a weird feminist thing into it? Like they think that this is something that will better market their product, which is this award show.
To
right?
who?
The ultimate goal is to get people watching this show, and now people are watching
Well,
it to like watch a train
Maybe they
wreck.
knew it would be cringy and a train wreck.
In that case, I feel
They're
like
just trying to ritualistically humiliate.
Did they
her.
like tell her beforehand? They're like, look, we're gonna
gonna be
prep
bad.
you
What
early.
if it
It's
was her
gonna be
idea?
horrible.
What if it was her idea? What if she was like, I'll do something
She's
for
like
the show, but it has to be a feminist rap? And they're
the
like,
best
"But please
performance artist of our generation?
Actually, that's way cooler
Like a
if she just
satirical
wanted to do
comedian.
this.
This is like, she's like, this is my big moment. This is the stance I want to take. And they're like, but maybe reconsider. Are you sure a rap? And she was like, yes, I'm
It's an
100%
interesting
sure.
career move.
It's
for
cooler
sure.
if she actually like she's like, look, it came to me in a dream.
I'm gonna satirize feminism in the worst way possible.
It's actually cooler if she wrote like this came to her in a dream because she just loved all of these actresses. And like the actresses are doing this.
Someone said it felt like she was hyping up a middle school dance.
Look, here's the thing. We talk about, look, Hollywood is paid to be good at pretending something, and even the best actors in the world that they showed reacting to this couldn't
They
fake.
couldn't even feign excitement.
Which kind of proves that maybe Ariana DeBose is the best actress in Hollywood.
Because she was just like
She was
in
into
it
it.
to win
Yeah,
it. Like there was zero hesitation.
I
applaud her for
I got
it.
respect for the fact
She
that she
must
was.
have known.
Look, there are days when we do this show where I very clearly can't fake it. This lady, and I don't consider our material cringy. I like what we do, and if I have days where I'm struggling, imagine to be given that material.
Oh yeah, she's really raising the bar for us all and doing it flawlessly.
I just
like
feel
it.
like you have to be confident and delete your Twitter if anyone questions you. Like that's
Okay, that's
Right, deleting her Twitter was a mistake.
I don't know. I
probably.
mean, check out
She
her
should
social
lean
media,
into
do
it.
what
She
you
should
need
lean
to do.
into it.
But
Yeah.
also, how could you
Like, she should make
not
it-
expect that this would be the reaction, right? Like, it's not even to me like that it's feminist, right? I'm not a big fan of that generally, but it's also like not good. It doesn't sound good. I would not listen to this. It's not, there's no beauty in the dancing. Like,
There's not even
it
a
sounds
rhyme in
awkward.
the-
There's not a rhyme. She sounds out of breath. Like, it's not good.
She could have been shouting out men in the audience as well, and it's just a
Also,
like a
what-
celebration of everyone there, and I would still be cringing.
Like, what if she doesn't like one of the women and she had to be like, you're in it too because women are.
Angela
like,
Bassett
hates Michelle Yeoh.
No, she said Angela Bassett did a thing or something.
Maybe that's who she doesn't like.
Really?
She said
like
did,
actually
I think she
throwing
said
shade
did
at
the
Wakanda
thing.
Forever.
See, that's what I want to know. Like, who was she like? Because realistically, she doesn't like all of these people or know them at all. And so there has to be a couple there that she was like.
Yeah, but they don't need
She
to
couldn't
know
say
them.
like, "Hey, we're not getting along professionally, and I don't want to mention her." Like, she has to mention everyone.
Like
Seems
it's like
the
who,
worst.
like go through the list again and see who the hell got left out and be like, what is her problem with this person? Do a deep dive into their history.
I just think this is such a terrible. Also, like, what? That for the whoever is producing this being like, she brought the energy we needed. What energy is that? Terrible.
Cringy.
And then they still got roasted on social media because hashtag BAFTAs so white. Came back,
this
made
is the
another
whitest
appearance.
photo I've seen in Hollywood in like 50 years.
There's like this group photo of the 49 winners, and I haven't seen a group photo this white in years from Hollywood.
That made me
it's
like
actually
it.
crazy.
Like, that
I
gave me
don't-
respect for the BAFTAs. Like, maybe they didn't look at color to make
Yeah.
awards, and they just gave people who were good. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And because it doesn't have the statistically perfect PR ratio of like people of color versus white
Here's
people
the thing.
versus
Just a
whatever.
sea of mayo monkeys.
Here's the
or
thing.
whatever
it makes me think
they
that it
call
was
them.
like more authentically judged. Like, what if
That's
they,
exactly right.
and like I hate to say that because obviously I don't want people who are of color to feel like they aren't getting a fair shot, but also like it seems weirder to me when it's like, oh, crazily enough, even though it doesn't reflect this in the nominee category, the majority of winners fit our ideological understanding. You know what I mean? Like, that makes it seem like it's a corrupt institution. And to have integrity for an award show, you'd have to think that like maybe
40% of the nominees were minority and not one of them won. And it's scary to think, but it's like the balls on this organization to do that, or are they just less
They might have
ideologically
just
inclined?
looked
Or
past
they
it.
just look past it.
But they haven't in other years. Like, that's the thing about the BAFTAs. Like, they aren't against wokeness or whatever. Like,
No,
they
they're not.
talk
They
about
had
this all the time.
the 2021 and 2020. That's what they said. They basically went through a reformation that added 1,000 different members to the academy that were
Yeah.
of color. And so even with all of the members, if anything, that should steelman the argument that these were the best winners because they added tons of like this is
Yeah.
what they want, right?
It's
They
not-
love diverse voices and color, right? They don't just want diverse skin color. They want diverse voices, right?
It just
Right?
seems crazy to me that like, I mean, is it possible that they were like, we tried for several years to keep up with what culture expects of us in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it didn't work. So now we're just gonna stop caring and we're gonna do whatever we're doing.
It's also funny because just injecting the
Yeah.
discussion point in there about what they need to look like automatically sows division and doubt into every nomination
Yeah.
and kind of proves the malleability and the manipulative nature of subjective victory. Meaning, like, this isn't something where you win by scoring the most points. It's a subjective competition, which means it's always going to have a snub. And that snub will always be for some lowbrow, quality that they're going to claim, whether it's racism or sexism or this or
Talking
that.
about snubs is presumptuous in my opinion in the first place. Like, nobody even like thought about you in the process, and you're gonna call it a snub. I think it's just the absolute worst type of person complaining about this, aka the consultant class.
Well, that's
so one person
Marcus
literally
Reiger.
called a diversity consultant for BAFTA, told the BBC that he was very disappointed with this result. He said, despite a massive overhaul on which I and many other industry people were consulted, and which resulted in 120 changes to the BAFTA award processes, I would love to see the list of changes. 1,000
They
new
made the
members from
changes and it got
underrepresented
whiter?
groups. The end result is there is no substantial change. So what you're saying is when they added people of color to their voting committee, they still voted for white people to win the awards.
Well,
sounds like you have more of a problem with the voters.
Yeah. Also, like, you're telling me that you changed it to be more inclusive and it got whiter as a result of your efforts. Like,
yeah, maybe that's your job to fix it. You know,
by injecting diversity,
you were the
philosophy,
consultant.
You were the one who made it.
It proves that
weird.
It proves that the victory is what they always cared about, not the process.
This is funny. A senior character developer at Naughty Dog Studios, who is also a BAFTA member, once again, like worst type of people ever, said, these are the winners of the 2023 BAFTAs. The black woman is a presenter. Not even Oscar or Golden Globes winners Michelle Yeoh, Angela Bassett, Viola Davis, or Kate Hui Kwan could break through. All judging systems have biases, but this is broken. I'm not proud to be a BAFTA member today.
Also, I want to ask, like, I'm sick of the idea of underrepresented. If, like I said, I use this example all the time. If you watch A-Team or anything from the 80s, if there's 4 characters, there's at least one African-American character in every single one of these shows. And given that they make up 13% of the population, that's 25% of that cast, they're overrepresented.
Well, it sounds like if you brought in 1,000 new BAFTA members who were minorities and they still vote for 49 white people to win.
Doesn't that prove that those people are better than you? Those voters are better than the people.
They're either colorblind in a true sense, or you're just bad at consulting. I don't know.
Or it proves that the people that they brought in to vote,
your project is pointless.
The people that they brought in to vote are more pure of heart than the people who brought in the voters. The people who brought in the voters brought them in under political means,
with
wanting them to go, that they go a certain way.
Yeah.
And the people that actually did the voting did their job, and they don't like it.
I think it assigns this weird mentality that they brought in people of color or minority voters with the expectation that they would exclusively vote for minority members.
Yeah, let's think
like,
it's
seems
all
like it's
a mob.
so bigoted, right? That like they could only.
It's literally like Biden saying, like, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black. It's literally that.
It's very bizarre. And I also think that award shows have the power that you give them. We know ratings are down everywhere for all award shows. If they wanted to represent or to like specifically award different like women or like a certain minority group, make a new award show. It's clearly not working.
They have that. They have GLAAD. They have the NAACP. They have all of these award shows
when
that
you're
have
a casting agent who's like, I need to get someone who's award winning but fits this racial profile for whatever reason, I'll turn to this award show and look to see who they are recommending as their up and coming talent, right? Like the fact that you are trying to convert the BAFTAs and it's not working. In fact, you somehow are making the problem that you're against worse. Should tell you that like this is not a system worth preserving if you really hate it that much.
I think it's a very anti-white sentiment, honestly, that diminishes the difference between, say, an Australian person and an Irish person as not being diverse.
That's their goal.
Like, is there not a difference between people who come from different parts of the globe just because they are both white? That is what they're saying. But there's more. They're saying there's more of a difference between someone from China and someone from Ghana than there is between someone from Australia and someone from Ireland, because the people from Australia and Ireland look too genetically similar.
But live different
You're literally
lives.
a eugenicist for saying that.
I think they do this across all lines, though, right? Like someone who is of Haitian descent in America, we still call it African American, even though they're from Haiti. Like that's not Africa. That's
true.
Else.
I guess like
if you're
we
Asian,
do
right?
tend to
We don't say. We
and
sometimes say South Asia. We sometimes say Eastern Asia, but like we tend to generalize by these like big pocket groups. And I think that hurts nuance overall. It's just the easiest to do it for white people because we generally say, oh, white people don't have culture, white people don't understand.
America is seen as like an exception where if you come here, if you're of descent from a different nation, you're essentially letting go of that national identity to become American. And that's seen as an exception to the rule. So I feel like that's
true for everybody, though.
It's not true for everybody, but that's the assumption that we used to have, you know?
As the in-house person of color here, as a Slavic person, I'm offended on your behalf, guys. I'm offended on your behalf. All these stories prove, in the end, is that Hollywood only knows how to make surface level changes that never make it past skin deep.
Do you remember like when vitiligo became like a minority
With
point.
Winnie Harlow and stuff.
Yeah, like, okay. There's a difference. There's a genetic difference between someone who has vitiligo and someone who doesn't. There's a genetic difference between a blonde and a brunette. Why is one thing seen as like getting woke points, but the other is not?
It's depending on what they feel like during the day. Just like why Asians can be considered minorities unless we're talking about college applications, in which case they're lumped in with white people and then held back.
Well, vitiligo is like a health issue, right? So it'd be the same thing as saying someone who is like a
Does it have
quadriplegic.
health implications?
It's genetic. I mean, you can be white and have vitiligo. You can be African American and have vitiligo. It's not specific.
It doesn't like diminish your quality of life, though, right?
I have no idea.
Unless you
what
come
it
from a
was.
country where you're mistreated for having it, I guess.
Sure, I guess. I mean, I don't know if there are other implications like for your health. I just know that like it's
Sure.
to me, it's not comparable to like discriminating or like lumping people by race, because it's like it's more similar to saying like, oh, we need to have more models with one legs. Also,
Right.
get that vitiligo model. And Winnie Harlow
Which is on the list.
well,
Doesn't-
and Winnie Harlow, who is a supermodel, like became a big deal, right? They're like, she is so bold and beautiful for not trying to even out her skin tone, which, you know, she is a very, very striking case of vitiligo. Cool for her, doing whatever she wants to do, pursuing her career. I just think that it's weird that we're like, oh, cool. If we have someone like this that fits into this box in our group, then we look like we're more tolerant, when you're actually singling people out
Yeah.
because of their health implications or race.
Go search out, they go to modeling scouts and they're like, go search out somebody who has vitiligo. Search out somebody who is 180 pounds and 5'4" to walk a runway. Find an amputee, find someone in a wheelchair.
Someone from Ukraine. Like,
Yeah, find
just
someone
cover
from
all-
Ukraine. Like, it's really weird.
Yeah. It's super weird, and it's such tokenism. Like what they're saying is, if there had been two more black
people
people in
are
this
okay
photo, it
with
would've been
tokenism.
okay.
That what
It's
I've learned is that
creepy.
people are now 110% okay with tokenism
And being
they,
tokenized
They
if
don't
they
care.
are,
Like I'm
yeah.
saying, shouldn't, on the face of it, shouldn't all the changes that the diversity consultant made really just seed some amount of doubt in the minds of anyone afterward that's been nominated? It should, but they don't care.
The BAFTAs are coping a little bit because I think they changed their background image on YouTube to a picture of Daniel Kaluuya.
They're like, we
when
love you.
people started, tweeting about BAFTAs so white, they're trying to like repair their image now, even though Daniel Kaluuya didn't win anything this year.
Did he present?
I guess he must
he
have,
was a
but he
great
didn't.
presenter.
in
He
the
didn't
crowd.
win
They're
anything.
like,
So
we
like,
had people of
why
color
is
there.
he your cover image on YouTube now? I also looked up like more of the BAFTA So White hashtag and saw this horrible speech from Joaquin Phoenix from 2020.
I can't watch it. I don't have it in me today. I think it's copyrighted anyways.
Well, that must have been before
It was.
George Floyd died, right?
It would be, because if it were February of 2020 and he died in May.
It wouldn't matter. They were like, Hollywood's been on this train for ages, and he was riding the success of Joker at that time. So he would have used it to virtue signal. And look, when he
was
talks,
like, I feel so privileged to be here, and we just need to recognize
he doesn't
that.
talk like they don't talk like human beings when they do this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like they sound like PR agencies. Deconstruct whiteness. And what was the other one? Tear down the pillars of whiteness. They don't talk
Do
like
any of
human
them-
beings.
Do any of them actually want to give these speeches, honestly?
No,
I
they
mean,
don't.
I mean,
Actually, he's a bleeding heart. So you're right. Yeah,
if
he
you
might.
won an award though, and you like are great, who do you actually really definitely want to talk about? I know there are a couple ideologues who are bleeding hearts who really want to talk about, but most people, they want to
But
say,
here's the thing.
thank you to my mom,
Yeah.
thank you to my wife, thank you to whoever, I'm leaving now.
If
right?
he
But
is-
they feel like they become more successful if they make these weird political, culturally acceptable points, and I think
Yeah.
that is one of the reasons that we should just do away with award show. And I'll start by saying no one can give a speech, right? Just give them the awards and shift them off stage. Like, cut that out and see if people want to watch the show.
Or if these celebrities want to go anymore now that their opportunity to preach has been taken away from them.
Every single one of them has a Twitter
They'll
platform.
just
Make a
wear-
long thread,
Yeah.
film a video, do it there.
Yeah.
Don't do it during the award shows, and see if people will come back to see who won. I think that would help.
Like in any other industry, you would not benefit from like your first instinct after something good happening to you based on an earned success.
Whew, that one got me. Sorry.
Your first instinct being to self-flagellate and apologize.
It's humble bragging.
That is not something that's normalized in other industries.
And it's pedantic. They're looking down on people. They're saying like, I am so aware of what I have in my privilege and how great I am.
Yeah, it's
Like,
humble
it's not
bragging.
genuine. Nothing he's doing is changing the way he lives his life.
Look, it's the type of thing that happens when he says that on the cusp of victory, right? So he's now gotten his award. Now he can virtue signal about this. And that would be one thing if I didn't hate the fact that none of them talk like human beings when they do it. I can buy that Joaquin Phoenix is a bleeding heart liberal, if not leftist, and I can listen to what he has to say and be okay with it. If he actually talks to me like a person, and he doesn't just start spewing 5,000 buzzwords, where 9 of the next 15 words are all something that came out of a Robin DiAngelo book. I don't want to hear it in that context. I want to know what you think about it. If you believe that, if those are your wholehearted beliefs, you should be able to phrase it in a way that sounds like a human being said it, not like it was written by a textbook by some self-hating lady who's grifting. Like, I have no problem. I don't agree with the message, but I would be more inclined to listen to your garbage if you actually said the garbage in your own words. But they're not.
It's bereft of actual compassion, which is why it doesn't resonate. Same thing with Me Too. It was like supposed to be this bleeding heart cause for victims of sexual harassment and people who are like legitimately victimized, which was an actual problem disproportionately affecting people in the entertainment industry. And it turned into something anyone with legitimate or illegitimate claims could use to, like, as a weapon.
Yeah.
And it lacked actual compassion, which is why it lost steam so quickly. It just doesn't actually make anyone feel anything genuine.
Here's the thing. Jacob Edler says they don't believe anything they say. It's all for attention. I believe that. Here's the problem. Why is it that whenever they go off on these race-based or gender-based tirades, it always sounds like they're reading from a script, right? I don't believe that they believe anything that they say, but for some reason they can fake it better with other things.
I mean, conservatives fake their foundational values all the time.
Well, I think with anyone in these positions, right? You put the media statement out there, you have a quote, it gets circulated. Joaquin Phoenix said these things, and then if he's ever accused of anything, it could be like, not Joaquin Phoenix. He said he recognizes his privilege. Like, you can't accuse him of not being aware. He already. It's just. I think it's all an opportunity.
They come for them anyways. They haven't realized that.
They will at times, but I do think it comes up where it's like, oh, well, he's tried to acknowledge whatever. Like, it just depends on if the media likes you that day or not. It doesn't protect you completely, but it's an opportunity to sort of build a defense, right? It's a way to say like, oh, well, I mentioned how bad it was for the environment in this one speech. So when I took a private plane, they still got to say like, well, he does talk about his concerns about the environment. That's what they do to Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
The fact that they read it like they're coming from a script, that's what disgusts me more than anything. What they say disgusts me. The fact that they can't even fake it well disgusts me more somehow. Like something about the fact that they seem so insincere is more disgusting to me than the fact that what they're saying is already abhorrent.
Well, especially with the white celebrities that lash themselves and everything. Fake. It's like, not only am I going to like sit in my own filth, but you also have to like walk through and watch me do it. Like, you have to watch me like bathe in my own shit and clap as well. You know, All right. Well, now that we've told the BAFTAs exactly how we feel about them, I think we've got some super chats, Mary. Halls and the Kid said, I could have watched all the Fast and Furious times 10 by now.
I got a life. I don't know what to tell you, Jessica. I don't really watch that much TV, so it's hard to, it's something I don't normally do. I don't have access to a lot of streaming stuff. I apologize for my inability to complete the challenge.
You're busy. It's okay.
You'll do it eventually.
You'll get there. I mean, they'll probably end up making. I believe the last movie will be 2 movies broken into. It's going to be Fast X and Fast X.2 maybe. So I
think we need more of these.
You'll get it done eventually.
Double Derp said Brett is 100% on point 25% of the time.
I'll take it.
I bet you're
better than being 25% on point 100% of the time.
No, I think it's weirder if someone is 100% on point 100% of the time, right? Then like, are you even thinking for yourself? Like, do you just like this person so much you'll agree with anything they say? It's good to have people not agree with you at times.
I am here to be the stick in the mud of everybody's like anger at everything. Like when everybody complains about everything, I'm here to be the stick in the mud who says, well, maybe there was something okay. And then usually I end up like agreeing anyways, but it's like I'm kind of like but the Twitter, my old Twitter before like I deleted it, used to like a lifelong devil's advocate, and I know that that's annoying, but I like to point out stuff every once in a while, like that like might like maybe if you look at it from that perspective, which most of the time, if you're like if you've already watched something, you're not going to come to that conclusion after the fact. But I like the idea that there's people that could be like, okay, well, I didn't think of it like that, and that's not going to be everyone. It's not even going to be most of the people, but like. It is what it is. I also find that I'm like, I try to not do that as like a bulwark against being easily influenced. Like if somebody's like, I tend to like, if the room is negative, I fall into that cycle, right? So I have to push back. Otherwise, I'm just going to fall victim to whatever positive or negative. If everyone loves it, then I'm just going to love it because everyone else loved it. So I need to like find a reason of my own to either why did I love it for that reason, or why did I not like it, and then tell people what that is so that I can keep myself from being too unduly influenced.
I getcha. Did you delete your Twitter because you performed a feminist rap at an award show and it went poorly?
No. I mean, I've hated Twitter for a long. I mean, I love Twitter now. My Twitter is unbelievably positive, but in general, I just wasn't using it. Though I am my follower count is getting close to where it was before, so hopefully I can catch myself back up to there in the short time I've been on there. But I tend to keep it very positive.
Brett's in it for the followers.
I'm in it for the fun.
Celebrity.
It's just me talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer and things that I like, and then all the tweets that I read from other people are things that they're upset about. So somebody has to add some positivity to this world. No?
I think that's good.
If we can't all be Joaquin Phoenix and lash ourselves on the back in the form of positivity.
Potatoes for Seamus said, hi, Hannah Claire, Mary, and I guess Brett. Hope Brett likes me still, even after all the gaslighting. Happy Friday, by the way. Hope you have great plans for the weekend.
Hello,
So that's
Potatoes
just-
for Seamus.
Why am I starting to believe that it's Friday now?
But that's just mean. Like now you want it to be the weekend, and it's not. And that's
It's
just
not even
worse.
close.
It's not even close. It's only Tuesday. That would be less offensive on a Thursday.
Kelly Horde said, Hannah Claire, was great to see you on with Coulter, asking questions I would have asked as a longtime fan. Hadn't followed her in a while, and it was a great show.
I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, it was really fun to have Ann on. I've known her for a couple years, and I think it's cool to have people who've been in mainstream media on different sort of alternative platforms, right?
It is interesting to see them, how they react to the less structured environment.
Yeah, it's fun to see. And I think more and more like this kind of show and podcasts in general have more of an audience than I think mainstream media is going to be able to regain in coming years.
There will ever be a time where we start seeing podcasts on at airports?
Wait, what do you mean?
Like the joke that nobody watches CNN, they only see it because it's on at the airport. Will there ever be a day where Bussin' with the Bros is on at
Bussin' with the Bros
is on
well,
it?
I think they'd have to all get signed to some kind of network,
Yeah,
right? And then
exactly.
like what I was thinking about the other day is like, you know, if you want to be a member at Timcast, you sign up and you pay like I don't remember how much it is, $10 a month.
Yeah.
Like same thing for Daily Wire. So at some point, like I wonder if someone will come out with like a mega pass and you pay $50 a month, but you get access to a bunch of these different alternative platforms, and that sort of becomes the beginning of the umbrella company.
Like maybe that's Joe Rogan's next move is he signs with airports to like play his podcast exclusively.
I think, but airports want stuff that's bland, right? Like if they could put on the Home Shopping Network, I think they would. Although maybe that's too spicy because they've got all kinds of interesting products. Like they want something that like people aren't going to blame them for having on.
You don't want to see they don't want to see Joe Rogan talking about DMT while they're at the
Or
airport
like if
bar.
he and Elon smoke weed and then like a kid's in the airport when that happens and the mom's upset and it's like, how could you have drugs in the airport? You know what I mean?
I would pay to see like airport reactions of like normies watching Alex Jones episodes of Joe Rogan. Like that would be comic. That would be comedy gold.
Make everyone go crazy.
Yep.
Bigfoot biologist said, love to see this lineup on PCC. Brett needs to make more IRL appearances, though. You articulate your thoughts very well, Brett. Hi, Mary and Hannah Claire.
Yeah, you gotta come back on IRL.
My brain is a absolute mess, so thank you for that. But I don't think I've been on since there was the The guy was Royce, who's running for office in Minnesota. I think that was the last time.
Did you go on because you're a Minnesota boy?
Basically, yeah. I was the token Minnesota.
You were tokenized.
I was tokenized to be the Minnesota representative for that podcast.
That's
That was.
hilarious.
They're like, oh well, you're from Minnesota, like you understand. I'm like, I can say I don't like Ilhan Omar. Sign me up.
What I'm waiting for is someone to be like, well, that guy was actually a movie star, and so we brought in our pop culture people.
That I was on with Dallas Sonye.
Yeah, I remember
so
that
that
one.
Was that was fun.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but like I think there is an actress coming up that one of you guys should come on for.
That would be cool.
High Voltage 75 said, I like the new outro cam. It shows us what a mess those money guns make.
Yes, it was a moment like the original concept was supposed to be like, you know, like when a news cast goes
Like,
off the air,
swings away.
it swings away from the reporter as he's
Yeah.
doing as he's like blandly like I don't think he actually even organizes
Is
his
anything
notes.
on the notes
Is there
at all?
even
Are they
any-
just blank pieces of paper
Now
that
that
he
he's-
shuffles around?
And now they use tablets, right? Like
Yeah.
one of my guilty pleasure
Does
follows
he shuffle the tablet?
on Instagram is this lady Caroline on TV, and like she just like it's really funny. She's a news reporter. She used to be in like San Francisco, and I think now she's in Texas. And it's funny because I was just realized one day that I'd never heard her talk because she just does TikToks and reels. And then one day, like she actually like talked on air, like did a reel where she was talking about the news that day, and she had a reporter voice, and it was really weird because I was just used to her like singing like TikTok songs while doing her videos in studio. But yeah, that's where that idea came from. But I like the idea now of just people getting to see the money as I valiantly try to clean it
Yeah.
up before we go up there, and then Mary cleans up most of it as we try to get the segments out and edit it as quickly as possible. So
Okay. This is a long username.
Yeah.
Many of you may have just went ahead and lost your beep mind. Said, our audience is superhero fatigued, or is it bad writing?
bad writing,
Both.
Might be both.
bad writing.
Both.
I think that
And it's both for people other than you.
I think it's bad. I think it's bad writing. I think the general consensus here is, look, the Marvel will still have the large pool of N95 wearing masks, as you said, Mary. The N95 followers. Maybe that's what we should call them from now on.
They're the
N95.
Marvel worms
The
that
Marvel
wait
worms.
obediently for the post-credit scene
But I think that all it takes
with their
look,
N95 on.
the summer blockbuster outside of Avatar and Top Gun Maverick proves that the bankable summer blockbuster is still the superhero movie. It's just that it's all so bland, and you know, take your muck, eat it, is all they give you. Like, we're just not getting the stuff. Like the better writing is in the television world, right? Like, people love The Boys. Like the Boys is fine. Like, the better writing is going to end up on TV, and the movies are all going to be bland because the concepts in general lead themselves to the same. I think it's why they did origin stories repeatedly for so long, because it was a formula they could all follow for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And a good origin story is fairly easy to do if you follow the formula. But once they've now gotten past that, like, look, they're making the Flash movie with like barely any Flash. It's like even though he's in it twice, it's still focused more on Batman and Supergirl and another Batman than it did the fact that it was the Flash's movie. I just don't think they have the writing that they used to.
Rascal King said, as a new Mexican, the Rascal King cannot stand that Baldwin doesn't seem to be held accountable.
They're working on that movie again. They opened set back up. So I would love for, like, there will be a documentary one day about the first time they go back to shoot that scene.
They're making a documentary
Yeah.
about what happened.
But they need to make a thing like countdown to when they start back up, and they have to like. My question is this:
It's gonna be
did they
awkward.
pick up right where they left off? Did they pick up right at that scene again?
Or are they rewriting the movie because they
yeah.
want to like not have that shot? I mean, like theoretically, he was like pointing a gun at the camera to get a certain angle. Like maybe they don't want that in there at all because
Yeah.
everyone who sees it will be like, "Oh, this is when that
They're gonna
happened."
be like-
also, her husband, as part of the wrongful death settlement, I think his name's Mike Hutchins, is an executive producer on the movie now, which that must be so
Reeks
weird.
of payoff to me, but what do I know? Let's hold off on the rest, and we will come back.
Okay.
All right, guys. Alison Brie. Alison Brie has a role coming out where she performs sex scenes on camera, and those scenes were directed by her husband,
Dave Franco.
Dave Franco. Thoughts?
I feel like the the duo of Dave and James Franco is sort of like the Cuomos of Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know, like the just absolutely detestable people. And this is like, this reminded me of James Franco's school of acting where he did an all-female acting class on doing sex scenes with him being the only male and the only instructor doing like imitating sex scenes with his students and then allegedly like taking the guards between their genitals off during these imitations.
He's like, look,
of
it's
sex.
less real
Like,
this way. Let's make it more real.
makes it more organic, you know. Just
That's the logic they would. He's like, look,
and was
we're-
literally Me Too'd by his own students.
Okay, you know how I think it's Dave or Kirk Cameron, he like refuses to kiss anyone but his wife. So what? Sometimes when he's in a movie and there's like kissing, it's like the back of the woman's head
Neil
in
McDonough.
a wig.
Neil
yeah,
McDonough.
there's a couple of them who do this.
Neil McDonough. I mean, I don't think Neil McDonough said anything about kissing, but he won't perform. He won't do sex scenes, and
Yeah.
he got in trouble in Hollywood
And now
back in
Penn
the day.
Badgley
Okay.
has
Yep.
announced that he will not be doing intimate scenes anymore.
I
out
think
of
this is a great
fidelity
idea for
to
men.
his wife.
I think this is a great idea. I don't think that we need to have as many sex scenes as Hollywood thinks we do, and I think it's good for people to put their marriage before their career, right?
Well, some people
I
said
think-
like the Penn Badgley thing is an obvious case in their opinion of he cheated and now he's on a tight leash.
Sure, whatever works, man. I respect that. There was a story about Melania Trump, like Trump's not allowed to spend more than one night away from her or something, and you know, sure, good for them. Do whatever makes your marriage work. But with this one, this like he choreographs her sex scenes. I can't help but think of Kirk Cameron, like in a weird way. Is Dave Franco saying like, oh, you can do sex scenes as long as I'm there observing everything that happens?
Well, he said
Like
in the.
sounds like a cuck fetish.
He says in the.
or like a to make sure you're like you really are doing a sex scene
How
and
much?
you're not
I would
rehearsing
look how
privately.
far your genitals apart. How far are they
Right,
apart?
right,
He's
or
like he's
like-
got like a tape measure. He's like
She can't
measuring
be-
these
Make
how far
enough
apart
room
there.
for Jesus.
There's a couple like people saying like, oh, I don't remember who it was, but some like young actors being like, they told us to just like go into the trailer and rehearse our intimate scene or whatever.
What could go
And you're
wrong?
like, what?
Better
And
be
I
a
feel like-
camera in there,
and
my
we're,
God.
Like, in this way, Dave Franco is like, there is no rehearsing without me as I am the director. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't love it at all, but it is weird because
So
there's
people-
a version of this where he's
Yeah.
like actually deeply controlling.
So
There's this really like copium response that Alison Brie gave to Jezebel. She said, it doesn't make Dave and I uncomfortable. We've worked together enough now. I mean, the second movie that we did together ever as actors was Jeff Baina's The Little Hours. And in that movie, Dave has makeout or sex scenes with like 3 other actresses and me. So I just feel like that was the ripping of the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
means initially she must have been uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
And then was just told that in order to be professional,
Were they-
she has to disregard her
Is she
weird feelings about it.
Yeah. Was she saying, like, are they one of these couples that were like doing movies together and then started dating and then got married kind of thing? Like, were they dating?
They were already dating.
They've been
I
married
believe,
since
yeah.
2017.
So
Look-
when they did that movie together, they were already a couple?
They started 3 movies
because
together.
if they were like actors, if they are actors and they weren't seeing each other, and so they were in movies where he kissed other people, and so she's used to seeing him do that, and then they start dating, I can see an argument where she's like, meh, it's not that different, but I don't know. It's this thing about Hollywood where like none of this is. It just seems like it's not that. It's not worth risking your marriage.
Well, it
over,
seems like
right?
something
It
that
doesn't
Dave
seem-
Franco would be much more okay with, given
Here's
that
the-
he is the one making out with other actresses in that movie the first time, and it's not her doing sex scenes with other men.
Yeah.
Right?
Here's the thing. I was willing to like look. I get a lot of crap for this. I'm like, look, it's their job. I don't give a crap. I'm not these people's parents. I'm not their marriage counselor. I don't give a
Sure.
crap. But here's the thing. I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, like, look, maybe I'll check back in 5 years and we'll see if they're still married, right?
Yeah.
I was about to give them the benefit of the doubt until we got the story about her running naked through the hotel room and embarrassing him on camera. Let us watch. I'm going to give a little bit of a what would you like, a parental advisory warning, even though it's blurred out.
Who took this video?
That's the number one question for this, right? So we're gonna watch this video in which she very clearly humiliates her husband, and he's very clearly uncomfortable by this.
Okay.
It's playing. Yes. Again, trigger warning.
It's just like
This seems like you're breaking a law.
There was a
Right.
whole article about like female privilege, like a dude would never get away with this.
Happy premiere night.
There's a guy filming this.
I think it's a girl.
There's a person filming
It's
this.
probably like one of her girlfriends who was like, "You go for it, queen."
Also, why do they have separate hotel rooms?
Yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah.
Get this off the screen.
Yeah.
Get this off the screen.
Like, do they just have separate hotel rooms for convenience, or
That's a very
why
good
do they have
question.
separate hotel rooms?
Who knows?
Why is she knocking on his hotel
Yeah.
room? Why is it phrased like that?
that is weird. I didn't think about it like that.
I mean, one might be like their shared suite, and the
Or
other
like
might be
because
her
they're getting
friend's
ready
room.
for like award show, maybe
Yeah.
they just rented 2 rooms so
Yeah.
that like they don't, they're like crews have space
I
or
don't
whatever.
know. Another. Okay, there's like a
He
picture
looked
of them.
uncomfortable there.
There's a picture of them
Sure.
below the video that's like perfect for a little green line analysis, I think.
He's pretty straight.
Oh, it's not on the screen.
Oh, they're both pretty.
It's-
They're both pretty straight there.
Yeah, it's almost suspiciously. Well, she's leaning in a little bit.
Little
there.
bit.
He's definitely not leaning.
So
So like, I don't know, maybe she's more accommodating.
I have another question. So a lot of people, whenever we
People
go to
were like,
these,
why is he looking away from her if he's
Yeah.
married to her? But
Yeah.
it's obviously because she's acting embarrassing in public.
Yep.
Oh, in the
and
video?
is gonna
I
like
thought you meant
post
the photo. I
this-
was like, because there's 100 cameras
Oh,
yelling.
no,
at
no,
me.
in the video, yeah.
a lot of the maybe he's just purely like, I don't want you getting arrested for indecent exposure.
Yeah.
Is that not a crime? Like, is she not committing a crime in the video?
Yes.
She's running naked through a hotel room, which is
Where there could
obviously
literally be
super
like
weird.
children
There could
anywhere.
be children,
like,
which makes me think it could be staged.
And like, if you're married, you want to surprise your husband naked. Like, why are you bringing your friend to film it?
Well,
And
I
then
mean, unless the
posting it
friend
on social
unless the
media.
friend is invited, in that case, go him. Just kidding. Oh, well, not really.
Degenerate.
It's their
I'm just
thing.
kidding.
Look, here's the other question. So, whenever we have these discussions, it immediately always comes back to morals, the morality of sex scenes, right? So, the question I had was like, if filming a simulated sex scene is immoral, is it also immoral to watch it as a husband and wife?
It's not necessarily like immoral. Like, my bigger question is, what does this say about their relationship, right? Like,
Yeah.
is this a positive thing that like she is not rehearsing sex scenes with anybody but her husband, like obviously the other actor, but like her husband's aware of what's going on? I listened to this relationship podcast and they had 2 porn stars on who've been married for years and years and years, and the question is obviously like, how are you married, and then also you like
They
know the
disassociate.
people. They say they say it doesn't matter, it's just part of the work, and that we film together, and like we don't view sex in the way that you guys view sex, so it's already different for us. And maybe that's true for actors, right? Like maybe they don't view sex as something that's like private and like special to the couple because they are commodified to
That's
produce
the
sex
thing,
scenes.
though. I think that's bad. Like, if you
I think that's bad,
don't
too.
view sex as a personal encounter, then
They-
you probably have a bad view of intimacy. Like,
They don't
it's
have
probably
kids?
bad for
I don't think so. Not
your
yet.
relationship.
They also-
Here's
they-
another thing that Dave Franco said, by the way. I just wanted to give his point of view on it. He said, I realize that it sounds wild, but we are actors. This is our job. It's actually not that weird. And with something like this, because it's our baby that we made together, love
That's
that you
what I
call
wanna
that
talk
the
about,
movie.
like-
I just think our first priority is always just the movie. Does the scene feel right, and does it feel good? Like, we don't want any romantic scenes with Jay to play awkwardly or strangely in any way. So your baby is a movie.
I mean, I think the
for-
choice
That's
of
what I said at the
words
top
is-
of this, right? Like there are plenty of people in Hollywood who are saying my marriage and my relationship with my, typically it's wife because it's a male actor, is more important than the craft of the art or making the movie. There are things that I won't sacrifice to make a movie that's going to make a couple $1 million, and then I'll move on.
Yeah, this
to
is an
something
Amazon
else.
Prime movie. It ain't gonna make that.
Right? Like maybe they're establishing themselves as like a husband, wife, director, actor, duo, or whatever, and so they see this as really important. But like, I think that you shouldn't put your career above everything in your life, and that is kind of what they're communicating. This professional goal, which is fine to have professional goals, is our priority over our marriage, which
That almost seemed
seems
like
weird.
the relationship between Mia Farrow and Woody Allen, where like she was starring in all of these movies that he made, and then when she found out that Woody Allen and her adopted daughter, who was 21 at the time, got together.
who he's still married to.
Yes. When she found out about that, they were in the middle of filming the last film that they ever made together, and she had to continue working with him after she found out about this. Like, I just think like that goes to show, obviously people in Hollywood should not be our models for for how we look at our relationships and our personal lives. But when we bring morality into it, it's really them that start the conversation about morality, because they're saying it's not weird. You shouldn't look at it as weird. They're giving the shoulds and shouldn'ts about what's normal and what you should think about it. And then my response is just like going along with that conversation that they started, and I'm saying, no, I don't think it is normal, and I don't have to accept that you think it is.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's weird that Hollywood has created this culture for actors. Like, we don't actually work in Hollywood. We just comment on it from afar. I don't live in the industry. I don't have tons of friends who are every day going out to auditions or trying to make it or whatever. I think it's weird that Hollywood has created this culture that the expectation is that you do these things for success and for craft, right?
Yeah.
That these two people who have been in the industry for a long time, obviously he's got a brother who's in it. You know, I assume they've been living in LA for years. They've been a part of this culture for a long time, that they're like, it's not weird for us. This is the way it should be. Like, do they have an option to say, no, it is weird and we won't do it, right? Like, if
They do have that option.
But do they think they have that option, right? Like, of course they have it.
That's their job to figure that out themselves.
And that's what I find interesting. Like, I find it interesting that, like, wouldn't it have been weirder if they had put in an article and she was like, no, I don't perform any sex scenes without my husband. Like, if you see me doing a sex scenes, it's actually Dave over here doing the body double, right? Like, would that be weirder for us? Or would it seem like, in some ways, better, like she is putting a boundary? Because we can debate all day long whether Hollywood should have as many loose morals and such a weird interpretation of like whether or not there should be sex in movies that they have. But more and more we see male actors saying, no, I am not comfortable with this because my marriage is my priority. Like, would she feel like she can do the same thing, or would we be told that that's like anti-feminist? You know, I just feel like the whole conversation is strange because she doesn't have, she would never, it doesn't seem like she would ever consider the other option, which would be as like, no, I got married, so I won't do any more sex scenes.
I don't care what they do, but this is what I want from them. So you can do this. You can say that it's fine. It's your job. Cool, right? But here's what I want. In 5 years, or if for some reason this ends up playing some role in your divorce, I want you to come on and do a similar interview and tell people how it played a role in your divorce, so that people can know that it wasn't all peaches and cream, perfect, you know, from start to finish, and that it did play a role in it. Just for people to have that information.
I wish they would be that honest, and I think that would be good. I just don't think that would happen.
They
right?
can't admit fault like
they
that.
They can't say
you
that
know?
like having sex scenes in movies and pushing them everywhere is not only bad for culture but bad for the actors.
Did
I mean, you don't even need to say anything about the morality of sex scenes in general. You can just say, like, personally, we thought we were okay with it, but we weren't. And that doesn't even talk about the morality of all the rest of it.
But
you know?
I think that would be evidence
even
that
have to
there is
go
something
there.
wrong, and therefore it would be not
Yeah.
beneficial for them. Also, you can't put it back in the bottle, right? If they do split up in a couple years, if they aren't forever, like, she can't then be like, oh, I've learned, like, last time I was married, I did this and it affected my marriage. So going forward, if she gets remarried, I don't want to do it anymore, because then she is commenting on the institution that Hollywood says is okay. But you shouldn't have a problem. We have intimacy coordinators. Everything's cool. See, this married couple doesn't mind. Like, it's such a weird standard for behavior.
Would
Someone
it bother you
said,
less?
We need to bring back Puritanism.
Would it bother you less if they made it abundantly clear, if they were more apt to say, look, we're not saying that this is for everyone. This is a decision that we as individuals have made, and don't necessarily condone it for all to do.
Say that again.
Okay, so like what
they are saying that they're exceptions. That's exactly what they said.
Then I guess I just don't care. Like, I
think that take is like incredibly cold to just say, not cold as in cruel. I'm saying, like, your take sucks. If you're saying that two consenting adults, because they can do something, therefore should, like, that's dumb.
So you're saying that they think they are exceptions?
No, I'm saying, like, as long as they're not promoting this as like, this is good, everyone should do this, and they're just saying, we're individuals, we are our own, we're a couple, we're individuals, we're our own people. We're not saying everyone should do this, but this works for us.
Well, that's essentially what they are saying, but at the same time, they're telling people who are not from this industry, you should see this as normal because it's normal for us. that's where they're bringing up a conversation of morality, and I'm
Isn't there a little
fully
bit of inference there?
invited
Yeah, I
to
think there's-
give
isn't
my
there some
opinion.
isn't there
I
some
think
inference there?
them saying one thing is not them also saying another thing. I think they are saying like this is normal for us and it doesn't bother our marriage, and they're not saying that anyone else has to accept it or that they would recommend it. They're just saying this is what we do. I agree that they are presenting this young Hollywood couple who's doing stuff that now other couples who are maybe in their position are going to be like, well, if it doesn't bother them, maybe it shouldn't bother us. And it's really not a one size fits all decision, right? Just because they're okay with it and maybe they're desensitized to like the potential dangers of this type of behavior doesn't mean that like it's a glowing endorsement of it for like for everyone.
And you are right that in general, celebrities of any sort are not people to model your life after. So you're 100% right about that. That's,
I just think it's a weird commentary on how Hollywood values marriage, right? Like it's the ultimate careerism over anything else. I would be more interested in an actress who's like, you know, it's like you read about this sometimes and it feels so strange, but there'll be women who will say, you know, it's like, I'm thinking of like Anne of Green Gables or like these old books from like the 1800s. And they're saying like, oh, well, I got married, so I stopped teaching school. Like, you could probably keep teaching school even if you're married, right? But what she's saying is like, oh, well, I changed nothing about what I was willing to do to gain notoriety and to perform in my films because I got married. And like, I think ultimately, like, personally, like, there is probably stuff that I would change if, like, when I'm married. But it's not because I'm oppressed. It's just because, like, you're taking on a new commitment that deserves to have your full attention and devotion.
women and men are probably judged very differently in this realm. You're probably right about that. Like if Neil McDonough saying I'm no longer doing sex scene or I'm not doing sex scenes because I'm married makes sense. It's he's saying that. But if a girl was to say that, she would be judged as being anti-feminist for saying that. Like you just don't care about your career. You're letting a man dictate what you can do as your.
I think that like
probably,
Yeah.
I don't think we breed a respect for marriage in Hollywood by saying like, oh, well, we're actors, so it's normal for us. Like, but if you were uncomfortable, would you say no? And I think they honestly wouldn't. I think that they would be like, we'll keep being this way because this is the stuff that sells, and we put selling our movies and our baby, our project, over other things.
And that's an endless supply of actors because the ones who do have enough clout and power to say no are higher up and are already aging out of those roles anyways. So it's almost like it's a self-refilling prophecy of any sort. So weird. Superchats?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Dumbledore said, since it is one of my big vices, I'm going to try to give up being a snarky a-hole to people online for Lent. Feels like punishment, restricting myself. Kind words. Probably the right call, that is all.
Supposed to think about why you're sacrificing. If it's a challenge, it's good, right?
Salmond Outdoors said, hey Brett, I sent you a picture on Instagram. If you guys ever do a Timcast movie, can I be Tim's stunt double?
I didn't.
You are a casting director.
Is this a Tim lookalike in the chat?
It must have gone to like the request folder.
But you did contact the right person, our casting director, Brett.
Yes, that's me. Send
Brett
all messages
is the resident casting director.
I think that's so funny.
Yep, it's
Wesley is downstairs like, wait a minute.
That's not true at all.
Isaac Martinez said, Ariana DeBose was so bad that it makes Cardi B's vocals match with Celine Dion. And this is coming from someone who doesn't like her music.
Love me some Celine Dion.
I just think whoever was like, yes, good performance, we're excited for you, she should fire them immediately.
Like her agent is gone.
I wish it
separate from the feminism,
a
right?
self-aware like satire of liberal feminism and like Hollywood feminism, but I know it's not.
It's not. And even beyond the feminism aspect, like she's gonna do a feminist thing, that's fine. At least make it sound good. This didn't even sound good.
Yeah.
They really,
when Lizzo does it, she gets platinum hits.
Sure.
And then
this
this
girl,
is just a mess.
This is bad. Like fire whoever did this.
Ugh. I was in public, so I had to listen to a Lizzo song yesterday. And I just think like, how is this popular? Like it's Bad Bitch O'Clock.
I don't mind all of her music.
Thick 30.
I don't mind all of her music.
What?
That's
but
so
like,
lowbrow.
It's the pushing of Lizzo. Like when she's at an award show and they're like, she looks amazing and she's so empowering. That's what bothers me. Like she's got some pop hits. Good for her. I just don't understand why we all have to
never
like
been my
bow
thing.
down and adore her. You know,
I don't even think that her songs are catchy.
Busted Cap says Brett just totally said that with a straight face. Titanic is Brett's favorite movie, confirmed. Because I said I love me some Celine Dion. Actually,
I thought you just liked Celine Dion.
the
You
best
play her
Celine
music all the
Dion
time.
song is her song from Deadpool 2, which Ryan Reynolds got like personally contacted her to perform.
Would you go to a Celine Dion concert? Have you already been to a Celine Dion concert?
I couldn't name 2 Celine Dion songs.
I don't believe you. I thought
Other
you were
than
a
My Heart Will Go
closeted
On.
Celine Dion fan.
I could. Oh no, there was I'd have to come back to that. I don't think I could. But it depends. How much are the tickets? Because I imagine Celine Dion tickets go for a pretty penny these days. Also, she's sick.
Yeah, she's got a limited amount of time left
Yeah.
to even sing.
Yeah.
Dumbledore said BAFTA, the comedian Reginald Hunter commented on European demographics. He said, it's where they make white people. It's like white people's Africa. The BAFTAs. Okay. Rhaegar, I stand with James O'Keefe Targaryen, said, would love to have seen Steve Deese as a pop culture crisis guest. He talks about pop culture a lot on his show. Dude is legit, and I've been following him since 2015. Can't wait to see his new movie.
The
that
best,
would've been cool.
The best part of it was like he was excited for us to watch it. Like when we're watching it,
That's
like
cool.
like he was very excited for us to like. Certain parts would come up, and he would be like he's me.
Well, it almost would feel a little like pressure if someone who made the movie is watching your reaction to the whole thing. Like I would feel a little bit
I'm telling
under
you.
pressure.
No, I think it's cool that he did that, and I think, I like the idea that like even to a small audience, like our office, it's important to him. He's not just like, oh, these kids are so lucky to have my privately
Right.
screened movie. Like he values y'all's feedback.
Mighty Rax says Gen Z exists because Titanic made women believe in romance. I kind of love
Wait,
it because
what?
I think you don't understand women.
Is that timeline even correct?
or maybe brought back their love of romance.
Nope,
Was
I don't
it
think it
dying?
went anywhere.
Like, I love. Well, here's the thing. I talk a lot about how I don't see a lot of like they don't promote romance in music the way they used to.
Not in music.
Not in the music. Like,
Well, it's all bad bitch o'clock.
you can
self-love.
track back. Oh, don't even. Get me
That's what
started.
it is.
You can track
self-love
back.
songs are more popular now
I hate
than
it.
love songs.
It's abhorrent. It's disgusting. It should be banned.
It's like Ariana Grande making a song like Seven Rings. It's literally about the fact that she's rich.
Yes.
Cool, good for you, I guess.
The concept of self-love as promoted through the media is part of what's destroying our society because it's tricking people into believing that they don't need anyone else when what we've learned through society is that like with Chelsea Handler, like, yes, your money will not keep you warm at night when you eventually get older. And I think that what the problem is, feminism, whether we're talking Beyonce and single girls and all this music that's been pushed on kids at the most impressionable of ages, will damage them at the most crucial times in their lives, right? So it'll be too late by the time they realize that everything that they were sold when they were younger is, if not a lie, a gross mischaracterization of what it actually means to grow up in a society in which you have to interact with other people, right? We don't value human connection anymore. We value self-sufficiency to a absolutely disgusting
I don't think
degree.
it's self-sufficiency. I think it's just selfishness.
That-
Right? I
that
think
would be
it's
the better word for
prioritizing
it,
self
yeah.
over anything. There are all kinds of love in the world, and being self-accepting and being comfortable with who you are is good. But loving something and loving other people or loving your community, like to narrow that down to just like, well, you should put self-love above everything else, is just continuing to put arrogance and narcissism and selfishness above everything else. Like cultivating that, and everyone has streaks of that, right? It's part of balancing human character.
Yeah.
But to make something that is generally, typically always about more than yourself, to turn it completely into like, well, you have to love yourself first. You have to put yourself first all the time, forever and ever. And you can never think anything except that people are trying to harm you, and that, anyone who questions you is actually like damaging. Like it's
No,
just
they're
it
narcissists.
assumes-
Anybody that questions you is a narcissist.
It assumes there's no goodwill between strangers.
Exactly.
Honestly.
It's the one issue that like I cannot help. Like there is no way for me to approach it other than it disgusts me. Like the amount of amount of worship we have for ourselves
Yeah.
these days is disgusting.
Well, and I also think part of it is hypersexualization, right? So
Yep.
we put like romantic love always has to have a sexual component and always has to push that. So we used to see, what was
Or
that
if it
song?
doesn't have a sexual component, it's because you're in some weird like polyamorous polycule.
Yeah.
So
and
you
you
know
make TikToks together.
What I was thinking was, who was that girl? She was really young and she had a song that was like, I love myself. And it was like obviously kind of about like self-pleasure. And she was really young. I think she was in Pitch Perfect or something. Like it's this weird thing where it's like, all of it is about sexual gratification.
Wait, this
and
was in
especially-
Pitch Perfect?
It was some pop song that was popular for a while.
Probably
And
one
she
of the
would say,
people
like,
in this movie, but not.
Thank you.
I'll try and find it, but like, it was this thing where you're like, what is this young teenager singing about on the radio? And I think ultimately, like, everyone puts, like, it's confusing love with sexual gratification, right? And we did that between two human beings, and now it's like, but just focus on yourself, which is
Yeah.
creepy and weird.
I hate it. It's just really weird to me.
Yeah.
It's one of those issues. I don't know why that is. I do like it. I do like the PTZ camera. I do.
Sketch Therapy said low views, add feminist rap for diversity tax credits.
Yeah, it's all about that stakeholder capitalism, guys.
Yeah. Sketch Therapy also said doing your job well POC doesn't help us. Make jobs for us.
They're taking our gerbs.
Pew Burrito said, Brett, big ups for beating drugs, bud. God bless, brother. I skated for Powell Peralta. Question, Mary, small enough to sneak into a movie as a snack. Don't ban, LOL.
Thoughts?
Have you ever pretended
Haven't
to be...
tried yet.
As for him,
They're like, ma'am, you can't go in the theater. Snacks aren't allowed. No snacks.
sorry.
When I was a
That's a
teen-
great pickup line. Oh my God. That's,
Somebody is really missing their
I
opportunity.
need to go to a
Some
movie.
weird, creepy theater manager
I'm-
is really missing his opportunity.
Brett.
Creepy theater manager. I'm about to try this week. Are you kidding
Okay,
me?
let's
Let's
do it. 'Cause
go.
I want Brett to fall in
Yeah.
love, meet a nice lady, get married, and have little hockey babies
Like-
so badly.
As for his mention of Powell Peralta, I actually used to skate for a wheel company called Eulogy, which was a brand under the Powell banner. So that's very cool. But yes, maybe this weekend at the theater, I will just creepily stand outside of every movie, of every auditorium, and say that to every girl that walks by.
You will get to nervous.
Someone is gonna love it.
I will give you $20 if you say it to at least one girl, because I don't believe you would do it.
Is $20 enough, Brett?
No,
Tell us.
no.
About 40. How many crisis parties? How many crisis parties do we need?
I'm too introverted. to
He's
do
too
this.
shy.
I am.
It's a great line.
It is.
It's so good.
Girl, you are not allowed in that theater. Didn't you see that sign? No snacks allowed.
See, I think this is a good. Why are you not doing this? When are you going to become a hockey dad?
Yeah,
I feel
we
like
want
I am
this.
like your mom, being like produce grandchildren.
Oh, you have no idea the weight that was lifted off my shoulders when my brother had kids.
I'm here to put the pressure back on.
No.
You have told me too many cute stories about like your grandpa and your dad doing sweet things. Like you need to hit on a girl at a movie theater and
Family.
let's move on.
Family.
We just came up with the perfect pickup line for your future wife.
Okay, so $20 if you do
Like
it.
that's a horrible.
How many
like,
crisis parties? Just
There
a
is
number.
no number.
Just say
There
a
is
number.
no number. First of all, everyone
oh
at
my gosh, we made it.
everyone at those movies is either a couple or they're underage, so it's not happening.
That's not
I don't believe you at
true.
all.
No.
Also, you just need to go on like a chick flick weekend when like a bunch of girls
Why
are
are
going in groups.
chick flicks don't go to chick flicks together? They
Yes,
go
they
with
do.
men. No, married.
Yeah.
Do
Girls
they?
go together. What are you
Yeah,
talking
I
about?
think they
Chat,
would.
I think they're lying.
But we're also in a chick flick drought right now.
Yeah,
so.
I think girls go with their friends because their boyfriends don't want to go, and they're like, "Well, take your friend Stacy," and they'll be like, "Yeah, I'll call Stacy."
Take your friend Stacy.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm telling you, Brett, I have solved your problem. This is
Yeah.
the move.
Or if Brett doesn't do it, someone in the chat, please oblige.
Do it and let us know.
Let
how
us
it
know what
goes.
results you get.
They're gonna be like, "Update, I'm married," and I'm gonna
Yeah,
be like, "See, Brett,
exactly.
this could have been you."
Maury said, the term white and black is too vague and needs to go. Even Indians are lumped in with being black sometimes. It's ridiculous. Well, they're supposed to be in the AAPI category,
Yep.
right?
The thing is, they want to reduce people so that they can pit them against each other, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just making one tribe versus
We've
another
got
tribe.
too many acronyms.
Yeah,
and
it-
they're
well,
too long.
White, black, red, blue. Like they're just teams that you're on to compete against the other people. It's terrible. It's reductionist.
Let's do one more, and then we will move on to the next topic.
Sketch Therapy said representation doesn't help POC jobs and schools do.
Well, all right,
Easier said than done.
I mean,
though.
not American school
All right,
system, but
let's move on. It's Battle of the Male Feminists once again. This time it's between Matty Healy, if you didn't know, he's the lead singer of the 1975, and Yungblud, who may be more influential at this point, actually, since he like rubs shoulders with Travis Barker and MGK and all of these like old dudes that are trying to bring pop punk back. I'm not here for it. I think Yungblud is a major industry plant.
is there anyone you think
But no confirmed
is Matty
information on
Healy
that.
an industry plant?
No, I don't think
He's
so.
been around for a really long time. That's like a literal garage band.
So who's another recent industry plant?
People thought that Billie Eilish was one. People thought Olivia Rodrigo was one. But really, the truth is, all new pop stars now,
Are
and
industry plants.
honestly,
I
like
thought it was
most
that
of them in
one-
the past were industry plants.
What about the one who threw his fan's phone in the water?
Bad Bunny.
Bad
Yeah.
Bunny?
I
That
feel like-
did
Dane says
feel
no.
like an industry
But
plant.
he
but
is
Dane,
really big outside of America.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's big in America, but like really big.
Dane says that he's like a hero in Puerto Rico and that everyone loves this guy. So I was like, okay, I guess it's just
I
a
feel
cultural
like
thing.
Matty Healy isn't just because like he didn't come out of nowhere. They were around for a long time and like,
They've been a
grind
band
it
for
up.
like over a decade.
Is
so
what about Ice Spice? Scott Dawson says Ice Spice.
oh yeah. Well, this whole thing is actually about Ice Spice.
Okay.
So
what happened?
Matty Healy went on Adam Friedland's podcast, and these guys are like post-liberal edgelords, basically. They started talking about Harry Styles and queer baiting. Matty Healy compared Harry Styles queer baiting to getting an N-word passed from the gay community because Harry Styles is actually not gay, but he gets to present as gay to be more marketable, right? So then they started talking about Ice Spice, and they were making jokes about like how she's kind of racially ambiguous, and started debating what her ethnicity might be.
Didn't they used to say that about Ariana Grande?
Well, Ariana Grande is debated because she just like changes her skin tone constantly. So, but Ice Spice is just like, as far as I can tell, is just a biracial black woman.
Okay.
But anyway, they started like joking about her ethnicity, and they started like mocking different accents and just being like edgelords, whatever. And then Yungblud reacted to this because people were mad at Matty Healy for even interacting with these people. Yungblud tweeted, "Love listening to three privileged white dudes sit around and objectify a young black female artist who's blowing up. Welcome to your 30s, I guess."
Whoa, calling him old.
Well, Yungblud is actually like 25 and acts like he's 15,
He's
so
calling-
he doesn't really have room to talk.
No, he's calling Matt Healy old, right? Like,
Yeah,
he's saying,
yeah.
Like you're no longer cool. Why are you even talking?
Right. So then Matty Healy decided to respond on his Instagram story. I just want to show this video of him imitating Yungblud, basically. He has like this emo face filter on Instagram.
Guys, I'm so fucking angry 'cause someone's blown themselves up in the fucking in the Ukraine, and we're not gonna stand for that because we're the fucking children, the fucking underrated youth fucking generation. And that's
So
what
good,
we
actually.
stand for. Well, I don't stand for stuff. I stand against stuff. There's not a particular thing that I
Accent
stand
slipping
for.
a little bit.
I just stand against stuff, and it tends
hard
to
to
be the
figure out
most
where you
morally
stand.
obvious stuff. You know, like that everyone stands for. Fuck the patriarchy.
Like the heavy Yorkshire accent saying patriarchy. Good job. Props to Matty Healy. I love like making fun of male feminists and like Yungblud for being such a preachy.
Also, I thought you weren't supposed to do this. Like, isn't he? What is it called? White knighting? Like, when he comes in and is like, I'm gonna defend.
Oh
the
yeah,
minority. Like
Yungblud is committing a crime here as well.
Right. I thought you weren't supposed to do that.
Like, why can't? You don't think Ice Spice can stand up for herself?
Oh my goodness.
You're a misogynist.
Classic patriarchy, thinking they have to defend. I don't know what.
I actually heard the term white knighting in an episode of The Pretender from 1996 the other day.
Probably didn't use it in the same context.
Not quite, but it was
It's
still
evolved for sure.
It was just interesting to hear even the term at all.
Secondly, Matty Healy posted this picture of Yungblud from one of his concerts where he is sitting on a prop toilet and reading a book on this prop toilet.
Which one is this? Is that on here?
I have it on the
I think
tab.com.
it's in the article.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah. So this is like his attempt at performance artistry, I suppose. And Matty Healy says, like, honestly, I feel a bit responsible and I'm really sorry, because Matty Healy is known for doing performance art at his concerts where he, like, notably has eaten raw meat on stage and done push-ups in front of TVs that are playing Ben Shapiro videos, and he's like trying to do a commentary basically on masculinity and the politicization of masculinity and how you present yourself as a man.
And the performative nature of pop art. I mean, so many of their biggest music videos, the 1975, is like making fun of the fact that people make fun of them for being pop. I mean, there was
being effeminate.
Yeah, there's that one where he's like the clown dancing around like the carnival or whatever. Like, I do feel like in some ways his look and his brand did open the door for some people to be like, oh, we can dress like this and it can be kind of edgy.
And for people like Yungblud,
exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, it opened the door for the industry to be like, well, it's working for them, so we can rip it off. I just don't think sitting on a toilet, reading a book, smoking a cigarette, whatever he's doing is like that.
He's
like, I don't
doing
get
like
it. You're
a
like,
poor
you're not
imitation.
supposed to get it.
He's doing a poor imitation of what Matty Healy has done.
Like, you're just thinking that you're interesting, but you're not.
Yeah. And also, like, Yungblud is like Harry Styles in that he just dresses up like a little girl on stage and expects everyone to think that it's like revolutionizing like gender roles, and like he's literally a hero just because he wore a tennis skirt.
Do you think
and makeup.
Yungblud is actually low IQ, and so he really just wants to be famous? He wants the affirmation. He's got a crowd of people around him being like, you know, it'd be so cool if you did this thing. And he'd be like, yeah, I'll do it.
Well, yeah, totally.
He can't think for himself because he's
I love the idea that we're talking about a
brand.
person like seriously, where we're saying, do you think Yungblud, and we're like referring to him like that's his name. Like,
I mean, I have no idea what his actual name is.
I'm being totally serious. Like, do you think he's low IQ? Do you think that like, part of this is the fact that he like
because
Matty
he's an
Healy,
industry plant and his branding and his image was invented by other people,
and if you can't understand what they're trying to get you to represent, then
his
you can't
record
question
label,
it.
yeah.
Whereas like Matty Healy came up with his stuff himself.
Exactly, yeah. So I mean, honestly,
like, do we think Yungblud even wrote that tweet defending whatever her name is?
That yes,
I feel like he didn't. I feel like he has a PR person who was like, "Can you believe this? I'll post for you,"
so that he can be like better than the other effeminate males on offer right now, I guess. And then I just
come on, British
I remember
men, get
like
it together.
The only other like impression I have of Yungblud is a video of him like spitting just absolutely viscous spit on his audience.
Yum.
It was actually disgusting. It was like if you have brothers, you know how like they pin you down and like they put his spit
they like drip
rope down
so
in your face. Yeah, it was like that texture of spit that he was just spit. And this was like a whole controversy because a lot of underage girls go to his concerts because that is his demographic, and he's like spitting disgusting like beer all over his like child audience in the middle of a pandemic, no less.
That's the real problem here.
Which was seen as the real problem. And then
That's
I
the real
also found
pandemic.
this other video of him from a different concert where he's like preaching to an audience from Finland about Uvalde. Like, to make a message about a gun violence that's going to go viral in America, but to an audience of Finns.
Globalist entertainment, man. They have no idea what he was talking about.
So I don't know if his speech is like super audible here, but.
It's a strange day for me. I was so excited to play tonight. But yesterday, after what happened in America, I couldn't help but cry. I couldn't help but be fucking in pain for the fucking 19 children that were fucking.
He literally probably had to go, the 19, like,
Like, if you get any details wrong.
This dude has not a
Matty
single
Healy's
emotion
impression, though, was
or feeling
spot
in this.
on.
Good, yeah. I think part of it too is, you know, you're in the UK. I'm sure there are European tragedies that you can talk about, right? Like
Exploit,
it's
you mean?
It's
The
it's
Manchester
super easy.
bombing, except you can't talk about that because it was an Islamist terror attack.
It's super easy to dunk on America. Like, oh my gosh, the world thinks we're bad with gun violence. Like, okay, America is bigger than all of Europe. Our states are bigger.
That
than
was a
those
big
countries.
problem during COVID when everybody would be talking about COVID numbers. Like, look at the numbers in Finland, and they're like, you know, America's like 9 zillion times.
You can
the size
only
of
compare
France,
Finland
right?
to like what, Michigan?
Yeah, like
you have to do comparable populations here, team.
that was a very annoying part of
Right,
COVID.
was,
Like,
yeah.
low
See how
IQ.
much better Europeans are than Americans?
That was
this
the
is why
people-
we should be socialists.
That was the people who were
Like,
telling me,
doesn't
like,
make
they're
any
like, look at
sense.
these places where all the women run the countries. We need more women in charge.
There's a podcast called The Political Orphanage or something. I was just listening to the host talk about, like, you can't really compare healthcare in Europe in these small states to like America, because if you ask Europeans, like, do you want the EU to run all your healthcare, they're like, no, of course
Well,
not.
we have individual. Like, I mean, this isn't really the point of this podcast. Like, I'm from Minnesota, where we had our own like Minnesota Care healthcare program. If you were low income, right?
For whatever reason, like, you can't expect Europeans to understand the difference, which I think is like rude to the Europeans. With this guy like saying, I am so upset about, like, yeah, loss of human life is very serious and very sad, but like,
This is not sincere.
you
though.
are not doing anything.
Nobody's
on this
looking at this
stage.
dude and
play-
thinking he actually cares.
Play the rest of this video. It's just, it's too good.
I couldn't help but be fucking
Beats his
in
chest.
pain.
You know,
fucking in pain.
You know he rehearsed this beforehand.
Yeah.
Fucking killed in 2
In Florida, I mean Texas.
And it's so easy for us to say that it's not our problem because we're on the other side of the world. But
It isn't
I
your
believe
problem
in this
because you're on the other side of the
generation.
world.
It's a fucking hole. What we say and what we do will change the fucking world if we stay together. And I am
What
fucking
does that even
angry.
frickin'
I am
mean?
so angry. I am so sad about what happened in America.
To the
We believe
19
you.
children.
But the other thing is, like, he doesn't.
I love the 13-year-old girls just being like,
We go on long.
Those are the same people who are saying, like, why can't Israel and Palestine just get along?
Well, he's saying, like, oh, this generation is like the hope, right? He's not acknowledging that the shooter was
I'm
of
so
this
fucking
generation.
in pain.
He doesn't acknowledge that this shooter was of the generation that he's saying is the hope of the world. Like,
Right,
what are you
yeah.
doing? You obviously haven't analyzed the situation at all.
This generation is so unequipped to solve any problems,
Why?
actually.
Because we can. Because we fucking can.
It's just dumb.
Nothing changes because Mitch McConnell and 50
Oh no.
Can he
Then all these Finnish girls are like, who is Mitch McConnell?
Mitch
but I'm
McCon-
clapping.
Also, Mitch McConnell is like, who is any of these people? Where is Finland?
Mitch McConnell is like, who is Yungblud?
His granddaughter is trying to explain to him, like, Youngblood talked about you.
His like
it's so
great granddaughter at this point.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. Also, like, can he name one single member of British Parliament? That's what bothers me the most. Like, it's so
no.
easy for him to be like, I heard this guy Mitch McConnell's bad. Name one member of British Parliament, Youngblood.
Name 3 of Mitch McConnell's songs. I dare you.
The problem
Tell
is,
me what state Mitch McConnell is
the problem
from.
is like, I agree, Mitch McConnell's awful.
But you
But
at least
not for
probably
your
know-
reasons.
No, but he couldn't tell you what part of government Mitch McConnell was in. He couldn't tell you what state he's
Literally,
from.
it's like that video of Billie Eilish where she's like, fuck Brett Kavanaugh. And all of
She
the...
probably can tell you what office Brett
I mean, at
Kavanaugh
least
is
she's from
being-
the same country.
Well, and she could probably say, like, he's trying to be a Supreme Court justice. Like, if you
Yeah.
ask Yungblud who is Brett Kavanaugh, I know he'd be like, what,
oh,
is he a
he's
skater?
fucking, you know...
He had done with Matt Healy. I hate him.
It's cooler if Mitch McConnell actually listens to Youngblood and then deletes his music off his phone because he's like, I'm not listening.
I'm standing against this.
He's like, well, you were on my Spotify Wrapped playlist this year, and now you're not. Like, you're not going to be on my Mitch McConnell Spotify Wrapped next year because you blamed me for Uvalde.
You know,
How is this not cringe of the day? This should have been cringe
But
of the
it's
day.
old, right? This is from a little while ago.
yeah, this was from a while ago, but you know,
It's a choice.
I'm sure he'll give you another cringe today
We have to
soon.
speak every single day.
With his dramatic music in
They
the background.
never say
Yes.
any. They never actually say
Speak-
any words.
Let him cook.
They never actually have any words to say. This is one of the things that I talk about a lot is like they just say things that sound good but don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
They say slogans from signs.
Did he donate the proceeds of this concert to the Uvalde Relief Fund? No. Like he used it as a talking point to make himself look better, to generate more social influence and definitely financial influence, and then did nothing about the problem that apparently he's so concerned about. Like that's what gets me, and I don't think anyone should look past that point.
Of race, in terms of sexuality, in terms of gun violence.
I
trying
just
to
never
help.
want to hear anyone else from the UK talking about American gun violence ever. Like he's like, they might tell us it's not our business because we're on the other side of the world.
No,
and I'm like, yes, it's literally none of your business.
Sure, and if you care about violence, talk about rising knife crimes in the UK, but you're not going to do that because
Right.
Or
it's easier
shut the
to say
fuck up and sing your music, Chud.
That's not an option, Brett.
That dance, monkey. Just do your job.
Yeah.
as
Also,
soon as
I
he
heard
talks
that
about knife violence. I'm okay with it, but
I heard that a member of his audience on whom he spat beer got an ear infection from it. It's kind of like that story from Warped Tour where Christopher Drew like gave someone a water bottle because they were about to have a heat stroke and then they got like herpes from him or something. It's just these people are gross and insincere and preachy and woke, and I'm tired of them. And maybe I don't agree with Matty Healy on most things, but his impression was spot on.
So
And these
funny.
people should be called out and mocked mercilessly because you simply don't know what you're talking about, and you're preaching so that teenage girls will applaud you.
I stand by. Tell me what state Mitch McConnell is from, Yungblud.
It'd be funny if he knows.
can't. He
Genuinely wondering, please.
He knows all of it, and he's like, he's actually mad because he
I
used to be Mitch
doubt
McConnell's
it.
biggest fan.
He's a pronouns in bio, like fake emo, pop punk wannabe edgelord.
It's gonna be cooler if one day we find out that all of them are just like really like far right, and they're actually just acting.
It will not be funny because speak your actual values. It would be more interesting if he were far right.
I'm more of
It
a
would be
nihilist, so it'd be kinda
fascinating if
funny.
he were far right and was just openly in Sweden talking or Finland or wherever talking about it.
He's like, I love Nick Fuentes.
Oh my gosh.
They are picking the safe things to say, right? Saying America has bad gun violence is the global talking point. No one actually cares. I mean, they say they care. They do nothing about it. Like, you should talk about crime in your own country if you are so concerned with it, right?
Yeah.
But
More
he's not doing
recently, there was a death of a trans teenager named Brianna Gay, I think.
Yeah.
And he had, of course, a tweet saying, utterly heartbroken about the death of 16-year-old Brianna Gay. Protect trans kids every day. Fight relentlessly
What does that
against
mean?
anti-trans sentiment and legislations being pushed on by our heinous government. Rest in peace. And like, I don't even know if are we like talking about the same government?
And okay, actually the sentiment one is kind of broad. I get it. What policies are you talking about? And like, what do you actually mean? And the whole protect them every day thing, it's like, I'm so
Protect
sick.
trans kids.
Protect out all kids.
But
apparently.
also,
But only the way we tell you to protect
yeah,
them,
only the
right?
way that we say is acceptable.
I
If you
mean,
don't want them to get
be fair, they're
irreversible
pop-
medical procedures, you're
No,
not
you're
protecting
harming
them.
them.
Yeah, you're
They're-
harming them.
These are pop artists who are playing lowest common denominator music to the lowest common denominator of audience. So
sure.
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's like, I still believe to this day, I believe that the death of hipster culture came because nobody was willing to wear a MAGA hat, ironically. And one of these people needs to be ironic and start bringing like ironic right-wing talking points into their act.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what Matty Healy is
That's
attempting
a little
to
bit
do,
what he's
honestly.
doing, yeah.
Like, he makes a lot of music that has like lyrics critical of like the leftists and basically like people like Yungblud.
I just get tired of like the political talking point, right? Like,
Yep.
do something more than read the random headlines and say like, oh, this politics said this. Like, think critically about the philosophies that you find like important. Like, read
don't
about
have the
theology,
time
make
for
some
that.
point, go to original source material and produce your own thought. Don't just say, I know this is bad, and so therefore I'm more heartbroken than you could even understand about it because I'm such a good person.
Well, it's like what I was saying about Joaquin Phoenix. He's not saying his own words because he's not actually doing any of the research into it. So, all right, let's get some. We got some super chats there.
All right. South of Angels said, I didn't know Slavic was a color, Brett.
Yes.
That's Tim's favorite talking voice.
It absolutely is. So you don't have to worry about that. It was like the National Coalition of Colored People has officially recognized Slavic people as a group of color.
But I want to know if Slavic people recognize the National Coalition of Color. Like, are they saying like, okay, cool, we're in it, or are they like, no, we don't want to be a part of your group?
Like, what if after all this, like the UN invites Ukraine and they're like, you know what, we don't even want to be part of your group anymore?
No, but I just mean like, if you're Slavic, do you see, and you're like, I see myself as white, and they're like, no, but you're a minority. Are you like, no, I'm white?
I don't see myself as any. It's so weird, dude. Like, maybe it's just 'cause, like the way I was raised, but I don't like. I just always thought of myself as an American. I didn't really have strong.
That was Meghan Markle before she went to the UK.
I didn't have strong like I'm Polish and Croatian, and I like, other than having a grandparent that listened to polka, I don't really have a strong connection to anything other than the American traditions that were part of my family. I don't think of the other stuff. It just doesn't really resonate with me. I understand that it does with other people, and they have very strong connections to their heritage. It just wasn't part
I
of
would
my
wonder
existence.
because a lot of like common American traditions are actually rooted in European culture, that like in some ways you are in touch with it more than you recognize.
Perhaps.
Probably, yeah.
In the chat, somebody says, how are Slavs colored? No idea, man. I'm just telling you what the truth
Because
is.
they need more people in the minority group, so they brought in Brett.
I just sent you the video that I was looking for before of Yungblud like spitting on his fans. But apparently there are so many videos of him doing this to choose from that I wasn't able to find it. He does this all the time.
It's disgusting. I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we show this to people? I don't want to watch this.
Nah, don't show people. They can look it up on their
Gross.
Yeah, but like there's like a wealth of content of Yungblud just spitting on his fans who are usually at least a decade younger than him. Really weird. Chris Noski said they should cast Hannah Claire for the next Fast and Furious movie as the villain trying to take it all away.
Ooh.
But does that mean we're breaking the fourth wall where like Hannah Claire knows that it's a film franchise but the characters don't?
Would it be funny if I was in a Fast and Furious and I don't even watch it?
Or no, who's the...
Probably actually Brie Larson. You know,
there was an actress who was in Avatar: The Way of Water who said it was filmed so long ago she thought it already came out and bombed.
That's funny.
The lady who plays the general, the one annoying diversity hire character who just doesn't look like a general at all.
I don't think she's a diversity
She's
hire.
a frumpy looking lady who does not look like a general. Maybe in today's world she might be a general.
She's a general because they have this like
General Frumpy.
They have this insane technology that literally makes you like a bionic human. So everyone is on an equal playing field. You literally are operating a giant robot body that could destroy someone.
Your logical explanation has no hold over me. General Frumpy. That's what we're calling her from now on.
That's like Angela Merkel.
Fair enough.
Bert Fegg said, my girlfriend wanted a romantic night at the drive-in. I spent most of the night trying to find out what car she was in.
Sorry, buddy. Hope
Do you
you're
listen
okay.
to the band at the drive-in? That's the real question. Do you listen to the band at the drive-in? And if you haven't listened to the song Quarantine, it was what I listened to for the first, like, it's one of my favorite songs, and it kind of like re-entered the rotation when COVID happened. I almost said COVID like a Canadian there. COVID. When COVID happened.
A Canadian or a Minnesotan?
I don't have a Minnesotan accent. I do not.
Yeah.
I do not.
Wait, what are the differences?
I have
though?
no idea.
There
It's all
is crossover.
over-exaggerated, like people who have seen the movie Fargo.
Sorry, what do you put your groceries in when you're leaving the store?
What?
A bag?
A bag?
Is it like a bag or something
Or
if
a
you're in
dragon?
Wisconsin?
A bag?
It's Minnesota too, I think.
Bag.
Yeah.
bag.
Also, like, I had a roommate who was from Wisconsin, and she said instead of root, she said root.
Yeah, a lot of
I
people
was
say
like,
rut.
what?
Oh, and in the chat, I have to point this out. Doomed says, didn't Triple H spit on his fans? Yes, that was like the first thing I asked when COVID happened. I said, how the hell will Triple H do his entrance where he gets on the ring apron and spits the water out if he can't anymore? But then he got sick and now he can't. He doesn't perform like in ring anymore. He's an on-screen personality, but he doesn't actually, like, that was part of his in-ring entrance when he's about to have a match, so he doesn't do that anymore. But hopefully he can come back one day and it won't give people COVID.
Last of My
COVID.
Kind said, when you pick up the money, do you put the bill's face up?
I do not organize. Hannah Claire organizes. I do not
organize them while I'm sitting here, like when they're on my desk.
I also
when I'm
like-
like cleaning up, if I'm subbing for Mary, like I just put them in a stack and they go on the
Yeah.
table.
I also like how like
There's
the whole
no time.
The whole point of this camera was so that it would show like all of the bills when it's done, but Hannah Claire's organized it all, so it won't look very impressive
Do you want me to
today.
throw 'em on the ground?
She's done.
Well, if only we had that on episode 300.
I know, right?
When it was a disaster zone in here.
Yes.
Yeah. Megan Lee Daigle said, "Happy Mardi Gras, PCC. Thanks for all y'all do."
Is it Mardi Gras right now? Awesome.
It's also Fat Tuesday or Shrove Tuesday, whatever you want to call it.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like you get shriven, you go to confession.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's shriv? I don't know what that is.
Getting shriven means like that you are like absolved of your sins.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
Maybe I
you go
could
to
use that
confession,
sometime.
but you also like eat a ton of Cajun food.
Oh, rock on.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it does.
Darius Harvey said, "Y'all just started. Recap. Hashtag James's PV."
He says so James is Project Veritas. It's very relevant to this. Hey,
What?
The number one thing I thought of had nothing to do with politics. I said, where the hell am I going to get my show tunes from now with no James O'Keefe?
Well, maybe you'll get more of them now that he has extra time on his hands.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Let's go.
It's a blessing in disguise.
The real question is he going to? Will he ever come back on? And will we get to hear Oligarchy live? And is that owned by Project Veritas,
Ooh,
or is that
yeah.
owned by James O'Keefe?
a great
I need to
question.
know, because I saw that list. They, like, one of the things that they used to get him out of there was like he like used DJ equipment for personal use or something like that. It just that list of stuff they got him on was like minuscule.
It's so made up.
It was so fake.
Matt's S-Box Emporium said birds aren't real.
I've ever told you a story when I used to work for a call center. I was there very briefly, and there was like the place where you do the calls, and there was like there was like office workers as well who did general administrative stuff. And there was the most straight-laced, normal guy, suit and tie to work every day. Looked like 2.5 kids, drove a minivan, and he had a huge "Birds Aren't Real" sticker in his cubicle, and I could never figure out if it was a joke or not.
That's
well,
very
it
funny.
must be a joke, right?
When one of my favorite memes from the beginning of quarantine, when we all like locked down or whatever we were doing, was a picture of a bunch of birds on what must be solar panels, like in the ocean, and they're like, they want us inside so the birds can recharge. I just can't think about that all the time. I always look for birds
Yeah,
landing
yeah.
on them now.
Incredible.
Halls and the Kid said birds aren't real, space is fake, math is a scam.
Well, I mean, Common Core math.
Common Core math seems crazy.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past the CIA to have fake birds,
But
some birds are real for sure.
I feel like they have some real birds, and then
They mix
CIA
them in with
was
the
like,
flock.
right?
Yeah.
They're like, this is an easy way to find people. People don't suspect the birds.
Dumbledore said, to a large extent, people value human connection far too much. That's why they pay for simulacra, games, thoughts, super chats.
I mean, is that too much, or is that just?
See, I think people
Yeah.
want human connection and pay for it so that they only get it in the capacity they want.
On
Right?
their
Right.
terms.
They want on their
If you've already
terms.
lost interest in the real thing, you're coping and getting a simulacra.
Right,
of
and they
it.
can't take any accountability for like maybe they interact negatively with people, like maybe the things
They
that they do are
dude.
unpleasant for people. Like, they
Everyone
only
else is a
want-
narcissist.
People only want adoration, right?
Yep.
Like people only want to hear like the thing, your ideas are good and whatever else. And like the best part about true human connection is to have people who like hold you accountable and who help you become a better person.
There's nothing like I wish I could do an entire segment on the things on Instagram that annoy me, because it's
It would get you in such a bad
it's
mood.
stuff like that where it's like learning to get rid of the narcissist from my life. And it's always, I'm like, what did they like say something like?
Cut
did
toxic
they,
people
yeah.
out of your life,
like, your-
aka anyone who holds you accountable for your decisions.
Your dad's like, maybe you should go to college. You
or
dad,
like if someone says no to you, it's like, well, they didn't want me to.
Like,
to
my
thrive.
manager at Starbucks misgendered me.
even
Cut
that's
toxic people out of your life.
even that's like a more general. It's usually worse than that. It's like your parents like are like, oh, maybe sitting around playing video games all day isn't the best thing for you to do. Look, they don't understand me. Cutting toxic people out of my life, cutting toxic narcissists. It's always, they call everyone a narcissist.
But
projection.
in some ways, narcissism is more rampant in our society, I think, than in times past because we.
But the people
feed
saying
narcissism.
that are narcissists.
Yeah, definitely, for
Like
sure.
it's narcissist inception.
Also, I think they don't understand what toxic people means, right? Like someone who says like, no, I'm not just going to go along with whatever you want because I'm afraid of upsetting you. That doesn't make them toxic. It just makes them maybe someone who doesn't share all your values or who has a different perspective.
Yep.
Luis Aguilar said the narcissism vanity economy is in full swing.
Yep. That is 110% true.
Matt's S-Box Emporium said, I declare no balls on Brett's theater excursion.
Look, I mean, I don't know any single women they said like women go to the theater to see romantic comedies together. I've yet to see that when we go to the theater. It tends to be people
But
coupled
we're in
off.
a rom-com drought, though.
I mean, I don't
We're
even
in
know.
a rom-com and chick flick drought. We
Horror
have been
movies
for a
might be your
while.
best bet.
They need to start releasing one big action movie and one big chick flick at the same time and get all of the single people
it's
together and go.
Oppenheimer is not necessarily an action movie, but it's definitely going to be like male skewed. And then the Barbie movie is coming out the same day.
I'm going
this
to
is
see
the perfect
Oppenheimer.
day
This
to
is
use
your
the line.
opportunity.
I'm going to see Oppenheimer. Mary's going to see
Go
Barbie.
approach a girl who is walking into Barbie and use the pickup line. It's
Like-
perfect.
I'll buy two. Like the goal will be to like see
wanna
if
see
you can,
Oppenheimer
Yeah, like to
after?
see if you can.
Or, like-
if you can, like if you can get her to not see Barbie but go see Oppenheimer. That would
I
be
don't
the
know if you're
ultimate
going to
pull.
convince her not to
No,
go
I
to
think
Barbie.
you just want to get her phone number so you can maybe contact her, go get some coffee. Like it's not to make her change her movie choice. It's to
It would be a flex if you could get her to change her movie choice, though.
So she would go with you. Yeah.
No, I think that's borderline kidnapping. What are we doing here?
Caper2X said, ladies, Brett is begging for a wing woman. Help him.
I am not begging.
You don't understand. I can lead the horse to water, but if he'll hit on a girl, it's not under my control. I can go to the movies with Brett, but if he was actually going to use this amazing pickup line, it's up to him.
Potatoes for Seamus said, hey, Mary, are you a snack? Because I totally can sneak you into a movie theater. Where's my money, Brett? And Hannah Claire, thank you.
Now I'm
You have to
picturing,
do it in real life to really earn the bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm picturing like sneaking someone into a movie theater with like the trench coat thing with like they stack people on their
them.
shoulders.
When I was in high school, there was like a really cheap movie theater, and it was pretty close to a grocery store. So we used to kill time, like go buy stuff in the grocery store, and then like stuff it up our sweatshirts. And the poor workers who were there must have hated us so clearly. We're carrying like a family-sized box of Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
Like I feel
why are you square?
we're just like keep
Are
on-
you body shaming me?
or like going in with like an entire like drive-through McDonald's meal and being like, I don't know why I smell like fries. Don't
I've done
question
it.
me.
They can like hear the ice in the Coke.
Ugh, I cannot wait to get Chick-fil-A later. My last hurrah before Lent. Sketch Therapy said, Tim Pool builds businesses, jobs, and supports education economically. Holly Weird pretends being paid to do their job, a representation, helps others. It doesn't.
Like, I mean, most of it is like it's kind of for their own ego, right? Like one of the things that I didn't mention earlier, like beyond the BAFTAs, like you mentioned, like they have their own award shows. There are hundreds of articles written every year about these luncheons and these like events that they go to where they just jerk each other off and tell everyone how you're so great. And they say, oh my God, no, you're so great. Will you please just jerk me off? Yes, I would love to, Mr. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. It's freaking awesome. I hate those articles. More than anything, I hate those articles where they just talk about how great they are to one another.
Paper2X said, until they need our tanks, planes, and missiles.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the
Finland.
long and the short of it, right? Like, you're allowed to have your socialized medicine because we defend you.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, Rhaegar, I stand with James O'Keefe Targaryen, said celebrities are clowns. Also, it's important to point out that Cocaine Mitch is not the biggest supporter of Second Amendment in the GOP.
No,
He's established.
he's awful. But
We
cocaine-
obviously are critical of Mitch McConnell for like different reasons.
No, but
than
what's interesting is
Yungblud.
Yungblud has been like, I hear them say this name sometime, and I know he's in the wrong party, so I'll say it. Like, there's no
Yeah,
analysis,
exactly.
there's no nuance.
He's in wrong color party.
Actually, to be honest, if we could get Cocaine Mitch into Cocaine Bear, I would be okay with that. Like, if he got to play, like he won an
Who
award.
wins in a fight, Mitch McConnell or Cocaine
or
Bear?
Cocaine Bear. Like somebody else mentioned the other day, like, are they going to have like I want the rabid drug-induced rabid animal cinematic universe where they just make movies about animals.
Cocaine
that,
Bear takes DC.
Yeah, but it's like it doesn't have to be bears. Like it could be all sorts of other ones. It could be I was like Xanax zebras. We could have like all sorts where they just pass out.
Yeah, I want drugged out pigeons because they
There
can
you
take on
go.
the cities.
Like,
They can
let's-
start cracking the windows open.
It could be made
on
in
high
the-
rises.
Made in the vein of birds, of like Hitchcock's birds. We could do that.
Yeah. He also said Yungblud stole his name from the rap duo.
They spell it differently though.
Well, yeah, Yungblud gets a pass, I guess, because it's Yungblud.
It also reminded me of a rapper named Young One, like an Atlanta rapper who spells his name like Young is now a thing with Y-U-N-G. Young One was from ages ago.
Young Gravy.
And Lil was a big thing for a long time.
Lil is still a thing.
Yeah, but not as much as like Young is coming into vogue.
And then there's Big Pun.
Big. You're either Lil or Big or Young.
There's no medium.
Is there old?
Probably. There probably is.
Someone should be using this.
Yep.
Lloyd Budluck? I don't know if I said that right. Gave us $1 without a message.
Thank you.
Rhaegar, I stand with James Keefe Targaryen, said most actors don't watch their own content. Also, Hannah Claire, we live in the age where people brag about not reading books or anything scary.
It's crazy out there, man.
Is that true that they brag about not like reading stuff?
People brag about all kinds of. I've heard people brag about like, well, I don't read books, or like, just anything to say like I'm fun and quirky for being disconnected from society.
That's like when people say I don't listen to who is this singer? I have no idea. And that legitimately happens, because for a long time I didn't drive, so I just didn't listen to the radio. But there's so many people where if you go out of your way to say it in a conversation, you're saying it because you want to say look at me, I so don't know what's going on. I'm so not established.
Or like you're into mainstream pop stuff, and I am just too artsy for life.
Okay, I'm still gonna brag about my love for DC 101.1 because I just love Elliot in the morning so much, and it makes me feel connected to the locals. You know?
Do you feel like part of the crowd?
To what's going on.
There you go.
Keeps me up to date on
Gotta get them on
the latest
someday.
food trends and
I love the norminess of it.
how normie it is. Yeah, I love that. Evan King said, Mary and Hannah, once you're done with Harry Potter and Fast and Furious, will you binge the 7 Police Academy movies?
Who's Hannah? You know who
Who's
Hannah is?
Hannah?
Whoever's
Yeah.
watching the Police Academy movies, I guess.
Is Hannah in the room with us right now?
I think you have to remember the backstory on all of this, which is like we hit crisis party goals. So it's not like we're
only
just
fair.
doing this for fun. We
Yeah.
instead of Lent, we were like, let's set ourselves a goal and like watch these things. Like I think many challenges are on the table, but they come with that crisis party goal.
Dumbledore said, according to my Insta bio, I'm not a narcissist.
Perfect.
High Voltage 75 said, money mess, gun go burr, haha, clean it up, piggies, mwahaha, sorry, not sorry.
We're not even at we got
They added the like money gun sound. That's the
Aren't
best
you
part.
guys doing the pay pigging though?
and we haven't even gotten the 3rd crisis party yet, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, we need a 3rd crisis party. We're literally a millimeter away from it.
But we do have to pick it all up. That is true.
Yes. Rascal King said, also, the Rascal King wants to know if it's gaslighting for him to say Happy Wednesday when it's actually Wednesday where he is.
Ooh, a time zone gaslighting. That's impressive. I didn't even think
so.
about that.
I think that's you being accurate.
DJ Freak Juice said, what's up at an internet cafe? Quick health question before my AOL CD runs out. Is a diet of Dunkaroos and Zima healthy? Asking for a friend.
It's so 90s.
I think so. I feel like that's real.
Dude, there's this great Instagram guy who it's called like SC voiceovers or something like that, and he does all these like best and worst snacks. Like that's his thing. He did the 1 chip challenge and stuff like that, but it's mostly him like listing like 5 best school lunches you ate, and it's like a flashback because everybody ate like the same thing. Like you look at the picture that's on Google and it looks exactly like the one that was in your freaking lunchroom.
Yeah.
Like the pizza they show you on Google looks like they came into your freaking high school
What's that
and took a
company?
picture of it.
Cinco or Cisco
Yeah,
or whatever.
something like that, like-
one company makes all the school lunches, also
Oh.
for prisons.
And
That's
he-
why it's
and
all
he,
the same.
And Michelle Obama was like, I'm having none of this.
And
I think they paid her off in the end. That
They
campaign
did,
seemed to
yeah.
go nowhere.
But he talked recently about the 5 most overrated snacks of the 90s, and one of them on there was definitely Dunkaroos.
What is that?
It's like
I've not heard of
basically
that.
like a
That's a-
bland
I haven't heard of that
cookie.
or Zima.
Zima is a
It's like
non-alcoholic
girl
beer.
I only
Yeah.
know about it because there's a Gilmore Girls
Kids would
reference to
drink
it.
that?
Like the only thing I remember about Zima is there was an episode of WWE where the acolytes who were playing a character is called the Acolyte Protection Agency, where they just play poker and drink, run out of beer, and they keep all their beer in like a filing cabinet, and they go all the way to the bottom, and then finally they open the bottom and goes, how about a Zima? And they have like Zima non-alcoholic beer at the bottom, and that was like the badum-tsh.
That's funny.
The 90s, man, it was great.
think
So a
alcoholic,
Dunkaroo
right?
is just a bland cookie.
It's like
And
it was
you like
a-
dip it in frosting or something.
Yeah,
right?
it was gross. Like, I mean, I liked it, but you know, you're a kid. Like you like
just
every-
high sugar,
that's
nice
what
snacks.
people in the UK call a biscuit, right?
basically.
It's
Yeah.
only for dipping things.
But I thought they were more like animal crackers or like.
They're saying
Scooby
Zima.
snacks.
Oh, Zima had like, but nobody drank Zima. Like I thought nobody drank.
It
Zima.
was like a beer marketed for women. It was alcoholic, and then they stopped making it. But
Now
then
that-
it became this like kind of legendary '90s product.
Yeah, now they're saying Zima is malt liquor. Ugh.
What is beer for women now?
White Claw.
White Claw. Yeah.
True. Yes. Chris Noski said Lifetime and Hallmark and that Candice Bure channel are nothing but rom-coms. We're not in a drought.
Yeah, but those are in theaters.
We're definitely not seeing rom-coms in theaters.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they're getting direct release because people are afraid to put it
Well,
in theaters. Because I
there
know
was a
that
Jennifer Lopez one.
J-Lo has two, and I heard someone who was like, "Look, yes, it's a rom-com, but it's really good for. It's like it hits all the hallmarks of like high." Like peak rom-com requirements, and I think we just
Okay.
don't put them in the theaters right now. They're on; they go straight to streaming.
I've also heard that the Sandra Bullock one with Channing Tatum was good. Lost something
know.
or other. That like it was like a action rom-com. Apparently that was good.
Okay. X said it would help him if one of you were there. She'd be less likely to think he's a threat if a female friend is giggling in the background. Sanction.
I'm glad that somebody could think
Is
of me as a
this
threat.
true?
That is fantastic. I'm glad.
Well,
to
I
know.
feel like any dude who just comes up to you and like,
Yeah.
You're always on guard a little bit. That's just normal. That's
yeah,
healthy.
you're like on guard.
Well,
I don't know if a girl laughing at you basically would help.
I feel like
It'd
the
make it
girl will then be
worse.
like, "Why are you laughing?"
I
Like,
have
two
a
of you.
disarming charisma. Don't worry.
I think
Totally.
this could
He
totally
has
happen.
what they call an unspoken riz, folks.
That's exactly.
But how unspoken can it be if you're gonna say a pickup line like that?
That is the conundrum here, Mary.
Bobcat said, "I'll see your cocaine bear and raise you an army of undead meth weasels."
Oh my God,
no,
let's
I'm not
go.
playing D&D. Why do you ask?
Dude, let's go. Meth weasels. Like that or meth monkeys. I'm down for both.
But we
Like-
don't have true stories to base them
like
on.
or fentanyl ferrets. Like
Cocaine bear is funny because you know it actually
real,
happened.
yeah.
yeah, but it started that way. It doesn't need to go that way forever. Just spin it
No,
off.
I
into
think
its
it
own-
would be better if we became aware of like all these types of animals that are affected by drug smuggling in
like,
America.
There has to be.
if that's how we bring awareness to this problem, let's do it.
My original idea was like what they need to do is they need to merge it with the Sharknado universe with Tara Reid and make a cocaine shark one. Because how many times do Colombian drug lords drop cocaine into the ocean? Right? Like out of their planes or submersible vehicles. We need one where a shark breaks into a submersible underwater and
Yeah.
gets just doped up on coke and then goes off and then it spearheads with the Titanic and like it'd be incredible. Like we could do this. I'll
And
write
then
the script.
Avatar.
And then Avatar. Let's
Yeah.
go.
James Cameron would get all over that.
I'm down.
Bert Fegg said, Brett, say out and about in the car to the bar, the Canadian test.
Out and about in the car to the bar.
But like
I feel
Canadian.
like you tried to resist it.
I don't
Or maybe he wants you to say it like how it naturally
No,
is.
I feel like he's resisting.
out
like,
and
now
about in
you're
the
aware.
car to the bar. Like I don't know any other way to say it.
Yeah.
Trying to subdue your
I'm like
Minnesotan roots.
I like would it be oot and a boot? I don't freaking know.
No, it's the
Out in a
AG
bo-
sound. That's what Minnesotans like stress in a way that's unusual.
I can't like that's I said it the way I said it. That's me.
Carnell said, "We're not worthy." Ironically, sounds a lot like Crisis Party. I didn't notice that.
That's perfect. That is perfect. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. All right, got Hannah Claire. Thank you so much,
Guys, thanks for having me. It's been a fun Tuesday. That's how you know what day of the week it is. If I'm here, then it is
You're helping us stay
100%
sane.
Tuesday.
we count our days of the week by who is on the show. So when there's like a change in the schedule, let the gaslighting begin.
Yeah,
So
seriously.
let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at hannahclara.b. You can find me on Twitter at hcbrimlow. You should 110% follow at TimCastNews on Twitter and on Instagram. It's the best. You can see the work from me, Chris Bertman, some other people who sometimes come on the show. Anyways, thanks for having me.
That was an excellent outro.
I'm working on it.
Working on it. Mary, where can they find you?
You can find pictures of me on Instagram at Mary Archived, and if you want to send me hate on Twitter, that is also Mary Archived. I'm working on my presence on MySpace, Parler, Truth Social. I'll get there
Friendster?
eventually. Well, Friendster doesn't have a revival yet, but we'll see. Maybe LiveJournal too.
Ooh, let's go with the live journal. Yesh says, Brett, No Stairway Denied was played wrong by Mike Myers because of Led Zeppelin struck copyrights. What I heard was that in the theater version of Wayne's World, they played like Stairway to Heaven regular, but then they wouldn't commit to the rights to Stairway to Heaven for the home video rights, so they had to change it in post. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard. Guys, if you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic. The show is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you would like to listen to this show, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, we are on Twitter at PopCulture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.